session at 6 p.m. Wednesday, August the 27th, 2025, in the administration building, boardroom 613B, West Zavala Street, City, Texas. Anna, roll call. The time is what, Anna?
Time is 6:03.
Roll call.
Espinosa,
Here.
Mr. Simon Houston,
Present.
Mr. Cruz Mata,
Here.
Mr. Victor Molina III,
Present.
Mr. Gable Espinosa,
Here.
Mr. Vince Martinez,
Here.
Mrs. Peggy Young,
Here.
all present.
Okay, we do have a quorum, 7-0. Number 3, moment of reflection. Okay, number 4, do we have anybody that signed for public comments, sir, for this meeting? Okay. Number 5, board training, Ms. Brunes.
So at this point, I will be asking Ms. McAnally to come up to the front. This is, the board is going to begin its monthly training.
And I think, Anna informed you to bring your package, but if not, I mean, she did us the honor of
Giving you an extra
giving
copy.
an extra one. So that-
It's like I'm moving, sorry about that. Should be the first one that, go to date modified, no, go up to date modified. You should have your LSG manuals with you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So grab those, that's our Bible for tonight. So, welcome to all of you, good to see you.
Thank you.
And you have a sign-in sheet that's just a plain sign-in sheet, or should I send this one around? You have one already? Okay. We've got to have you guys sign in, which is a little different than normal. But that's kind of our reimbursement procedure, so. I brought my mask, my cough, and I bought everything. All right. All right, the next slide. Or do I, you're gonna drive this? I'm so excited, thank you, I need a driver, my husband drove me here. So as you look tonight, what we're doing tonight is LSG monitoring. And so that's the biggest job. And for all of you in the audience, the reason that job is so big is it's focused on the most important reason why we do school, which is students and looking at student performance. And so what we're going to do, we're going to look at your GPMs, which you're going to adopt tonight. You'll recall we had adopted 2 of them, and we went to do the other one back in July, and we had not put it in the packet, so we postponed it. And you're going to see a monitoring calendar tonight, which is an important thing because you and the public will know for 5 years what's going to be monitored at a board meeting. And then finally, the monitoring report, and then we're going to talk about time use tracker, and that's where we're going to put your vice president and your secretary to work, is doing some LSG work, is tracking time in your board meetings spent on student outcomes. What are our students doing? In addition to that, you have reviewed your operating procedures back on July the 28th with me, and Ms. Anna has made those additions and edits to it, so we'll adopt that tonight. And then you're going to do your self-evaluation tonight. We did one to set the baseline back in July. Tonight, we're going to do the one for the next quarter and project where you could be by November, because you do this quarterly, which is an exciting thing because the board is basically saying to the public, we're going to evaluate ourselves every 3 months just to show that we're making progress in what we're doing for and with students and student data. And then finally, there are two things I'm gonna tackle you if you start out the door before you sign in tonight. We have to have them signed because our deadline is August 31st, which is Sunday. So we have to sign in the sign-in sheet, the self-evaluation, and your BOP. Those are really important tonight, so I want to get those done. So let's look at the next slide, please, sir. This is why we do business. This is something, those of you that have gone through the 2 days training, we say it over and over, that student outcomes, your student performance in your district won't change until we change what we're doing. And that means in board meetings, that means for teachers in the classroom, for everybody in the district. So this is the Lone Star Governance Statement. Oh, you were good, you were right on. Thank you. The number one thing that you do, it's in statute. I told you this, we've talked about it all along. The state wanted boards to be so focused on student outcomes and student achievement in the classroom that they put it into the Texas Education Code in Chapter 11. And you notice what it says here, that you will govern the open enrollment school and provide oversight regarding, not talking about colors of buildings or school buses, those are in your oversight as well, but about student academic achievement, and that you will provide strategic leadership. That's what you're doing, is strategic leadership, focusing so much on maximizing your students' performance. So I want to thank you for your commitment, for our work the last 6 months. For the folks in the audience and those listening, they may not know that, but you've been highly focused for 6 months and then focused on that also in 24 as well. So let's look at the next slide. What does progress monitoring look like? So let's jump into that. It is basically taking your board goals, and for those of you that haven't looked on your website, your board goals, you have 3 of them. They were all tied to the last legislative session, to House Bill 3 goals. And we're going to be talking about GPMs tonight, and for the audience, that means goal progress measures. So what are we going to be doing with the GPM? What's it sound like it's going to do?
Goal.
It's going to monitor your goals. It's going to measure your goals. That's exactly right. It tells us, it tells the audience that. And it lets us know, are you hitting your target? And so we're so focused on this, that you're so serious about it, that you're putting it out in the public every single month. I want to applaud you on that. Not very many school boards are doing that. Our next slide moves us to your GPMs. Now you guys, and those of you that were in the audience when we did the PLN back in April, you saw these, and it's in your board book. Someone help us with the page number.
Page 6.
Page 6.
So we'll let them turn there. And as you look at this, you have seen this. We talked about it. We talked to
Agenda.
students. We
Agenda.
talked to parents, and we talked to staff that day. And so I see people shaking their head who were involved with that meeting. That's what LSG does. It's different. The school board taking the data with the staff and talking to parents and kids and staff about it. So as you look at this, this is your literacy goal. I'm not going to read it to you because we've already been over it. But what we're doing tonight is presenting it to the public that you're saying that your second grade students are going to move from here in 25 to here by 30. We're setting incremental gains based on data. We didn't just suddenly pick a number. You looked at your data in that PLN. Any questions or comments about 1.1? It's a literacy goal. Our next slide is measure 1.2, and it's our first grade. Same thing, moving them from performance level 3 in phonemic awareness in May of 25 to May 30. And you notice the other important thing, you have your student groups down here. You're not hiding any data from anybody. You're showing the group, you're showing the student groups, and you're showing the 5-year increments. The next GPM is 1.3, so we've moved from second grade to first grade to kinder in reading, still in literacy. Same thing, level 3, phonemic awareness. Tells how it's measured. And you remember in a goal, it has your target, It has where you're starting, your baseline, it has your population, and it has how long your deadline. So you're not hiding anything in that goal. You have all parts of that. Same thing here, moving kids from X to Y by Z, 5-year increments, your student groups. Any questions from anybody on the board? You've seen these, I don't want to put you to sleep, we have lots of work to do, so. Okay, let's move then to math 2.2.
One.
I'm sorry, 2.1. And so in math, same thing, level 3, measured by iStation, what you're doing locally, measurement on the campus, and you're doing that in computation, algebraic thinking, and increasing from 49% in May of 25 to May of 2030. And again, showing that here are your goals, here are your student groups. Yes, sir.
Our form just says 2029,
Yours says 2029,
and May 20.
I think
right here.
on our thing, I think a lot of the measures of 1.1, 1.2 didn't show up either. So I don't know if these are the updated ones.
Okay, so we didn't update.
In our packet.
Yeah, it's going to 2030, yes. Yes, sir. It's a 5-year, you have a 5-year calendar and you have 5-year goals.
Yeah, it's on the other page.
Okay? So yeah, just strike that. Thank you. All right, and then 2.3.
Oh, I know.
I'm sorry, 2.2. Same thing, except it's first grade this time that we're talking about, and it's moving from level 3 in the same areas from 49% in 25 to 100% by 2030. And did you have a question,
No.
Ms. Martinez?
No.
Don't scratch your eyebrow. I'll call on you and make you answer a question, sir. All right. So let's go to 3.3. 2.3, I'm sorry. And now we've moved from second grade to first grade to kinder, same thing, we're measuring level 3 or above on iStation, same areas, computation and algebraic reasoning, and we're moving them from the percentage of 53% in May of 25 to 100% in May 2030. So it's clear, we wanted these written, as you recall, we wanted these written so that lay people could ask about it, and so that if you're not an educator in your former life, before being a board member, that you understand this data too, because you have data in your work, but it may not look exactly like this. So let's go to 3.1. Now we've gone through early literacy, your board goal in literacy. Now we went through your early mathematical goal, and now we're going to CCMR. So you're covering the whole gamut as we've gone through, and now we're talking about percent of students who are college ready, and it's based on reading and math measured by the TSIA-2. And it's moving from 9.1 in May of 25 to 30%, which is a huge jump based on TSAI. That's huge, that's quite ambitious, by May of 2030. So that's a very lofty goal. And then again, you've got your student groups down here, and you can look, and that's the thing that you'll want to look at as a board member, is look where you can see, oh my, look at the difference here. Look at the difference over here. This group of kiddos, you know, they're at 9%, and over here, look at the difference. Those would be the kinds of questions that you would want to ask the superintendent or the staff about. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. 3.2, we're still talking college career, military ready, but now we're talking about the industry-based certificates, where a kiddo leaves high school and they can do something industry-based out in the work world. And it's increasing. Notice where you're starting. You're starting at 0, but look how far you're trying to move to 15%. That may not seem huge, but that is huge. That is a huge increase. And so, yet again, notice the increments, it's about a 2 to 3% increase. Now, you can adjust these, remember, we don't adjust them in the middle of the year because they're what Ms. Dina's going to be evaluated on, but you can adjust them at the end of the cycle. So those won't be adjusted, the goals themselves, but the CPMs are adjustable. If you suddenly see, oh my goodness, our kids are already at 11% as you start 2027, then you would make an adjustment. Those would be things you would want to notice as a board. 3.3 moves us to workforce readiness. Are they ready to go out and get a job out in the workforce? And notice where your score is starting back in 24. And the reason we had to use 24 data, we got permission to do that was all that we had available, remember, in the late release. You remember that from our work in April. And same thing, moving from 0 in May of 24, because that's where we started, is in 24, and moving to the to 10% in 29-30. And we're using, this is with our SPED population on IEP documentation with students with special needs. Questions about any of these? We've seen them, we've talked about them, just now going to adopt them. All right, so how do you monitor? And so look, if you would, I want you to find 3 places in your manual. And if you've got something, you can mark them in. Go to 26 first and mark that page or fold it down, page 26, and then turn to 28. And we're going to start on page 37. That'll be your third one. So kind of mark them off. 26, 28, 37, and we've got to hike the ball on that, right? Yes, ma'am. We're ready to go. Get ready for those Friday night lights. All right, so as we start here, I want you to realize and walk through with me. My first question, this is for you. This is for you as board members. What is the purpose of monitoring the data around students? Why are we going to even do that as a school board? Why monitor that?
So
Monitor
we
growth,
keep up with
Say it
their
again.
monitor growth,
Monitor growth.
stay up with their growth.
Stay up with their growth. What else?
see where improvement might be needed.
See where improvement might be needed. What else? If you don't ever look at it, what does that telegraph to your community? If you don't look at it and talk about it, what does that
Value it?
say?
That we
Say it again.
That we don't value it?
That you don't value it. We always say we measure what we treasure, but we also, leaders, talk about what matters. And you represent the community, the constituents in your district. And if you're not talking about it, that says volumes. If only the staff is talking about it. We know it matters to staff. We know it matters. I've seen teachers cry over scores. I'm sure Ms. Briones has as well. I've cried over scores before. And so if the board's not talking about it and not monitoring it, it probably doesn't matter to them. So that's what you're doing. You're getting highly focused on student performance. What are the characteristics of a good monitoring calendar? What do you think it ought to look like? Look at your monitoring calendar on page 37. Look at it for a minute and you tell me, what would you say, what would you want to see on your monitoring calendar? What's on that one on page 37 that's sort of our guide?
Trainings,
Say it again, Ms. Young.
trainings,
Training, it has your training as board members. Yeah, that's going to be out there. It's already planned 5 years in advance. Yep. What else is on there? Someone else did something.
Several board self-evaluations.
When the board is going to self-evaluate, why does that matter that it's on a monitoring calendar? What's that say to the community?
Make sure that it's happening.
We're going to make sure it's happening. What else does it say to the community when you're going to evaluate yourself in public 4 times a year?
We're holding ourselves accountable?
Yeah, exactly.
And that it matters, just like talking about students. that it matters, that we care enough about our work, we're gonna evaluate ourselves, and we're gonna be transparent about it, and we're gonna talk about it, absolutely. Anything else that is a quality of an effective monitoring report that you notice right there, that's on there?
The different constraints.
It has your constraints, your guardrails, exactly, the things that the district won't do, wouldn't want the superintendent to do. And why does it need to be, we only have one here, right here on this page right now. Why would you want a 5-year monitoring calendar? Have we had anything else be 5 years tonight? Your goals are 5 years. That's why. It's to mirror that. It's to tie to that. And so you're looking at your goals for 5 years. You're going to have a monitoring calendar for 5 years. Also, it's out there. It's going to be published. It's going to be on your website. If I'm a parent in your school district, what does that help me know as a parent?
Well, that we're putting it out there that, we're all together and we're all looking at it and, we're all on the same page.
Everybody on the same page? I want to come and know about math. I want to know when you're going to be talking about math. I will know for 5 years when you're going to be talking about math. Maybe my kids are great in language arts, but they're struggling in math, or maybe it's the reverse, or maybe I only have kiddos in high school, and I want to know about CCMR. I know for 5 years in advance.
So you're talking about 5 years for board members, right?
Yes, sir.
So what if 3 of us are not here next year anymore?
You still have your monitoring calendar, and why is that important? What will that do for board members coming in, Sammy?
Helps the newcomers.
Absolutely. They're not coming in. Oh, my word, what are we doing? Where do we
What
start?
if they feel that they want something different?
Well, that's exactly why you have conversations. Is there anything on the monitoring calendar that we don't want to continue to have on the monitoring calendar? This is a guide, but it's certainly updatable and changeable, but it doesn't mean that they're not still part of it. Your BOP is the same way. You're going to have new board members who may not have developed that BOP. You have to have laws and policies and things to give guidance. This gives a framework.
It's just,
a framework. Good question.
just to have something that whoever is in the board, can come right quick and on top of orientation and kind of know what's happening year 1, year 2, or whatever, and go from there instead of having to invent the whole thing again. And
Don't reinvent the wheel, Mr. Espinoza. That's right. If the wheel turns and it's working, absolutely. Any other questions about a 5-year monitoring calendar? Okay, let's look at page 26. We've seen the calendar. Let's go back and look at 26. And somebody with glasses, since I don't have mine on. Let's look and see on page 26. Which of the columns on page 26, this is the integrity instrument, this is the rubric that the board uses to evaluate themselves. And so looking at this rubric, where do you first see monitoring calendar mentioned?
Does not meet focus.
Under preparing to focus, yes. The first one is a 0, they don't have a monitoring calendar. So as you look at that in preparing to focus, read that please, Mr. Mata, read under number 1, preparing to focus, read the first bullet.
Where are we at again? Page
Page
22.
26, I'm sorry, sir. Preparing to focus.
Preparing to focus. The superintendent on the monitoring calendar development, working with the board to adopt a calendar that monitors 1, each student outcome goal at least 4 times per year, 2, no more than 2 student outcome goals per month, 3, each constraint at least once per year.
Okay, and so that's exactly what's happened. Ms. Briones has developed a monitoring calendar that she's going to present to you tonight, and she's working with you tonight to adopt that calendar. Notice what number 1 is. You have student outcome goals that we just have talked about, they can be updated at least 4 times a year on the monitoring calendar. So you can change that. You're not changing the goal, you're changing when you might look at them. And then number 2, not more than 2 goals a month that you're going to talk about in the board meeting. Why just 2 goals? You've got 3, and you have 3 GPMs, so you have 9 things you could be talking about, but they're saying just focus on 2 goals a month, no more.
Well, I mean, we want to make sure that, we're following it intensely and that, if we're going to be involved, it takes time and, we get with her and, we're following data, we're following, any reports.
She brought you 3 goals one night, and all 9 GPMs, we would all be going blah, 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 afterwards, right? Would be data overload, absolutely, absolutely. And then notice the last 2 bullets. Read that, please, Mr. Bonilla, under preparing to focus.
The calendar spans the length of the student outcome goals,
Which is how long?
5 years.
5 years, excellent, you get a gold star. Yes. And the next one?
The board tracks its time in public meetings, identifying each minute according to the time use tracker.
That's what we're talking about. Vice President and the Secretary doing that same thing that Ms. Anna is doing. She's taking this agenda, she's writing down when we start and when we end a section and we move on. Because the goal is, guess what? Does anybody remember when we talked about last month? What % of a board meeting should be spent on student outcomes if we're an ideal master board?
50%.
Oh, you're good. You get a star too. And so 50% of the time, most districts spend 0% in a board meeting talking about student outcomes. And so I did time tracker for your meetings back in July. I'm going to show you when we get there. Why do I want 2 board members tracking time, not just Miss Anna? Why do we want board members looking at how much time is being spent in a board meeting on certain things?
It's redundancy, just
Say it again?
redundancy, just
Well, it does give redundancy, but what will it do for you as a board?
Check and balance.
Say it again?
Helps us ensure that we're staying on track.
Absolutely. Are we really talking about we don't know until we measure. We oftentimes look at a board meeting and say, where did all our time go? Oh my goodness, look how much time we spent on this item and how little time we talked about student achievement. That's what it's about. And the reason we want board members to do it, Ms. Anna's been doing it for a long time, but we want you to do it as the VP and the secretary and then give a report, because once you're aware of it, you can help police the board and say, guys, we need to spend a little bit more time on that. So look, if you would, at approaches focus on page 26. Mr. Houston, read what it says there.
Approaches focus, 10% or more of the total quarterly minutes in board authorized public meetings were invested in improving student outcomes according to the time use tracker.
The time use tracker, you're the VP?
Yes.
Okay, who's the secretary? Mr. Mata? And so these 2 will be tracking, and it says, and I'm warning you, you're probably less than 10%. I've never started with a board that started above 10% ever. We all think we do, but it's because we're not looking at it. It's like that scale. Do you ever skip the bathroom scale? I do. And so then suddenly about 8 months later, I'm like, my goodness, those jeans don't fit. Same thing. If you're not measuring what amount of time are you spending, and once you see it, you may start to realize, wow, we want to be more efficient. We want to be focused on our student outcomes. Then notice in needs focus, to get to 12 points, what % of time does it say you're going to be talking about student outcomes?
50.
25%. What about 15 under master's focus?
50.
There's your 50%. That's your goal. That puts you in the master board category. That's where we want to move you. So here are some questions for you. Thinking about back to page 37, looking at your calendar, if you want to look back at it, here are some questions for you, but the answers are on these different pages. if you want to look at that calendar and then try and cheat on page 26, how are progress and accountability reflected in your monitoring calendar? If I'm a member of your community and I say, tell me, Mr. Board Member, Mrs. Board Member, how are you showing progress and accountability with your monitoring calendar?
If we're looking at the student outcome goals, GPMs, in the actual goal stated, it tells you what exactly we're dealing with and where we should be at that moment.
So the goal stated where we should be, absolutely. How are you being accountable to the public about, are you all trained? Are you gonna have to say somebody on the board's deficient before your November board meeting? How is that reflected on your monitoring calendar?
Trainings?
We put your training, absolutely, that's on there. So that's public as well. So that's another way. And then look at number 7. How could the structure of your monitoring calendar inform how you think in your board meeting and inform your behavior in the board meeting? How can that monitoring calendar inform what you're doing here tonight, every single time you meet? Maybe with the exception of a finance meeting.
There would be, I guess you could call it a pre-board focus. So we know that we're gonna be dealing with those particular progress measures at that meeting. So
You used the word pre. What did you say? You said that.
pre-meeting
well.
focus.
The pre-meeting focus, before you ever even walked in here, you would know from your monitoring calendar, oh, look, we're doing, and you're gonna get when you look at a 2.1, you're gonna know which one that is. And you look at a 3.2, you're gonna know, oh, that's over in CCMR. Oh, 1.2, oh, that's gonna be about early childhood reading. You're gonna start to know, and so you could just look at your calendar and know, oh my goodness, I know what we're talking about, not only tonight, but later. That's exactly how it can inform you and inform your behavior in your meeting. Finally, on page 28, how should the superintendent and the board operationalize your work around your monitoring calendar? Look at page 28. Let's look at that, because here it's again, it says the board operates in a way that allows the superintendent to do her work and accomplish the vision. But notice as we're here, we're talking about your monitoring calendar, and you don't see monitoring calendar until which column on page 28, ladies and gentlemen?
Approaches focus.
Approaches focus, yes. Read the first one there, please.
On the yellow approaches.
In the yellow, the first one.
All consent eligible items were placed on the consent agenda, and more than 75% of the items were voted on using a consent agenda.
Wow, start to think about that. If you could get to that place, that 75% of your business, you've asked your questions, you've studied it before the meeting, that's your pre-work, and 75% of your time happens in 1 to maybe 2 minutes when you do your consent agenda. That leaves you a lot of time in the 2-hour goal of the business. Now remember, closed session is outside the 2 hours. The goal is for you to be so efficient, and I guarantee you, your staff probably would enjoy a 2-hour meeting, or they're here as well. You would probably enjoy a 2-hour meeting and talk about efficient. When we're not tired, we work better after a day's work, right? So on 28, anything else that you see that's about the monitoring calendar? Is there anything else on that page?
Well, we just need to make sure that when we start doing that, and I think we have started in doing it, that when we have we're talking about approving
The GPMs or?
no, the things that we just, approving a motion.
Consent agenda.
The consent agenda that, when we get the agenda, if there's a question that, a board member might have on one of those, that they need to call the superintendent and try to, get the information, and if it's still not clear, can probably put it in the agenda informational, but most important is gonna be that, we call her, make sure, we don't deviate from, getting.
And you're not pulling things out of the consent agenda. That's exactly.
We know that we're
right.
gonna approve it, and no questions asked on that, just a motion and move on.
Yes, sir. Now, it's hard not to want to talk about things. I get that, because we want you to have synergy and teamwork. We want you to work collaboratively. But this is asking you to work smarter and more efficiently so that when you are discussing, you're discussing what? Student outcome goals, GPMs, and constraints or guardrails. So as you start to finally get to page 38, thinking about the structure of the monitoring report, look at page 38. We saw this last time, and I am going to show the public an example of this in just a minute. But the whole idea behind a monitoring report is that it's not death by data, that it's simplistic. And I told you last month when we looked at this format, we want it simple enough that show that says, are you smarter than a fifth grader? That's what we want. We would like for it to be easy enough that a fifth grader could look at it. They say the average newspaper, if people still read the newspaper, is written at a sixth grade reading level. We want it simplistic. People that use the big lofty words, sometimes that's subterfuge. See, I just did it there. That is to try and hide things rather than make it simple. It's the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, so that we can make it. And I don't think the public's stupid. I think the public's quite smart. But we need what we do to be so transparent that our constituency knows what we're doing, that we're serious about kids and we're talking about them. What questions do you have about monitoring calendars? We're going to finally get there in a while and talk about what Ms. Briones has developed and how we'd like to present that. Any other questions? Because I skipped right past page, I was on 28 and I skipped right past it, didn't I? After Mr. Espinosa read. Yeah, under column 4 on 28, I'm sorry, I skipped past that one. Look at the second bullet there. Read that one, please, Ms. Young, under approaches focus.
Approaches focus.
The second bullet, where it says be adopted. On page 28.
Okay,
go ahead.
The adopted, monitoring calendar has not been modified during the past quarter.
So you can change it quarterly, back to what Mr. Espinosa asked, what if the board changed it? Yeah, I went back to page 28. I did a real quick, I sometimes lost my students doing that same thing. I
need to listen.
You're supposed to read my mind. So exactly, you can adapt and change your monitoring calendar based on data, but you just don't do it in the middle of a quarter. That's the thing. So certainly when you get new members, there's input on it. So let's go to the next slide. This is the actual monitoring calendar, but I think you have a copy. I have a draft version, so this may differ from what's in your board book. So if it does, just know I pasted this in earlier. And so as we start to look at this, I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to sit down and take a drink of water and let Ms. Briones go ahead.
On page 9.
Talk to you. Is there a page in your board book?
Page 9. It's on page 9. But I know that I made some changes. Anna, do they have? It's the same monitoring calendar. It's just on a legal size paper. So my calendar that we're presenting to you today begins in July. And we begin the calendar under constraints and CPMs. with the review of the compensation and benefits plan, and that is addressing constrained progress measure 5.3. You all, as board members, also attended the TASB legal updates, the SLI, so I went ahead and I documented that as well. In August, we have the 2025 accountability ratings and student data tables that we were supposed to present tonight, but we're doing the monitoring report instead. We're bringing in, under constraints and CPMs, the compensation and benefits plan again, except for tonight, it's for consideration of adoption. We are going to be going over the CCMR tracker for grades 9 through 12 as of the fall of 2024, and that is going to be addressing CPM 3.1. Under leadership evaluations, the board is going to be considering the adoption of the revisions that were made to the board operating procedures back in July, and will also be participating in a quarterly progress tracker activity. And then on the other end, before the end of the week, we will send you, and I know that because I've discussed it with some of you, the preliminary financial integrity rating system of Texas, the first report. It's preliminary. We usually present to the board the final, but we do have to send that out to you. For the month of September, we are going to be bringing to you the iStation, or what we call the ISIP reading and math reports for the beginning of the year. That is going to address GPMs 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. Those are the two goals we're going to be doing reading and math. Under constraints, we're going to be doing a financial quarterly report that will be addressing CPM 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. And we do have at least Mr. Martinez attending the TASB, TexEd Con, Delegate Assembly conference. I don't know who else is going to be joining.
I don't know.
Cruz. So we have board participation in that workshop. Under other, we do have the principals that will be presenting to you their WIGs, or what their wildly important goals. These are campus and very specific content, grade level related goals that feed and inform the superintendent goals that feed and inform the board goals. We will be bringing you an update on that in the month of September.
If I might, I want to just say something real quickly while we're here, because as you move through your evaluation instrument, as you get closer to the master's level, you want to consider board members presenting at a TASB conference. And that would be a perfect time as you get farther along with your score, because you're way ahead. Many boards, we know there's 1,200 school districts in the state, and I know of 25 that are doing LSG. So think how that puts you in a category that nobody else is doing. You ought to start to think about, where can we go, to what conference can we go and present and co-present with Mrs. Briones and our staff. But it's very important for you as board members to think about sharing that, because other board members want to hear from you and hear what's working. So thank you for letting me interrupt.
Yes, ma'am. In the month of October, we monitor reading and math every month with iStation. So you'll see the recursiveness throughout the school year. So I'm not going to go over, every specific monthly progress tracker. In December, we do have CCMR TSI scores that we will hopefully be able to present to you, because our high school students take TSI for the first time in December. So we are planning to present to you all as early as that December board meeting. In the month of January, we will be again assessing our students in reading and math. We will be presenting to you middle of the year scores, and we will also be presenting to you, as far as accountability is concerned, our fall EOC results. And you'll see the two board goals that we are addressing. As far as the constraints, we will be also presenting financial quarterly reports in the month of January, addressing the three constraints listed. We also have included the superintendent evaluation and LSG Quarterly Progress Tracker as leadership evaluations. We have TASA Midwinter Conference also as a possible training that board members and senior level administrators can attend. And we will also be presenting to the board our middle of the year WIGS scoreboard and tracking progress. In the month of February, we will continue monitoring reading and math. We will also bring you STAR interim student data. And this, of course, we're all constantly assessing our students, constantly looking at whether or not we're meeting our targets. We will also be presenting to you the TAPER House Bill 3 annual meeting. And so you see a combination of goals for TAPER. That is the one planned meeting where we do have to address all 3 goals, not just 2, because the TAPER report will address all of them. Under leadership evaluation, we do have a board self-report and a board member, a self-assessment or a self-evaluation that we have scheduled for the month of February. And then we will be doing a progress and accountability measure evaluation. In the month of March, March is very busy for us, so we're going to be presenting only reading and math progress measures for you. April, again, is very busy for us because we're in testing mode. By April, we will have CCMR data for previous year because CCMR is a lagging indicator. We will be addressing the progress measures 1.1 and 1.2. We do have, under constraints, we do have a financial quarterly report, again, addressing CPMs 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. And as early as April, we will bring you from the HR department a staffing report to see what our vacancies are looking like, because by this time we're already in contract cycle. In terms of leadership evaluation, we do have a board self-report that is scheduled. And again, in April, we will bring you an update on campus WIGS scoreboards and tracking progress. In May, we will bring you our final ISD reading and math scores. We will also conduct an LSG quarterly progress tracker. We also do have ISO training for the board, and that is supposed to be a 26, not a 24, if you will make that correction on yours. In June, we will present preliminary STAR data to you, looking at GPM 2.1 and 2.2. We will update you on staffing reports. We have also the SLI, Summer Leadership Institute, that board members are encouraged to participate, and we will bring you the last WIG update for the year. And again, we begin the new academic year anyhow in July, looking at CCMR, TSI, and progress on IECs. We also have scheduled for the month of July of 2026 a financial quarterly report that will be addressing all of the CPMs 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and we will also be presenting to you a staffing report. So for the purpose of today's meeting, I did just a 1 year.
Yes, that's what I suggested that she do with what she was going to have to be out, but the whole notion is that, and I want to go back, if we could, I want to go back and look at the beginning of the monitoring report, if I can get my driver to back up. Do we back up okay on this? I think we can. Keep going back, please, sir, to the very first slide. And so as you go back to this, since we are doing our LSG quarterly tracker here, then you would put all your trackers on here for each month. And so what you're tracking tonight is actually the prior. We're into August, so you're not evaluating August. You're evaluating July, June, and May. And so that would be one of the things that we want to start to think about, that, okay, and because it's on there, what's going to happen, Mr. Houston, if it's on our monitoring calendar?
Got to carry it out.
We got to do it because the public knows exactly. That's what you're saying. We're putting this on here to hold ourselves accountable. And I want to applaud you, because lots of people don't want to put things on a calendar because they know that they have to hold themselves accountable. So thank you for that, and thank you. I want to say that to the staff as well, because they are held accountable. They have walkthroughs in their classroom. They have T-PES and T-PES, T-test and T-test. So you're doing the same thing to yourself that's done to every employee in the district. and you should be applauded that. So let's go on ahead, let my driver go speeding through here there. So now that we've talked about the monitoring calendar, then let's go back and think a little bit about your monitoring report. And your monitoring report, look at page 38. Because we want to talk a little bit about what you see on page 38. That was my example of let's make it easy enough that a fifth grader can look at it and see it and know what's happening. And that's exactly what we said back in July. Just even if I'm holding this up and it's like an eye chart, what would you know if I'm standing up here talking to you? What would you know just from looking with what you can see from here?
Progress, it's been,
How do you know that, sir?
it's going,
It's going up. I don't have to be a statistician. I don't have to be a psychometrician. I can tell our kiddos are doing better. Look at that. Look at the two examples down at the bottom. What else do I know?
economic disadvantaged students.
They're making some progress. And what I like that they did on this one, notice both on the large chart and then on the two small charts, I see where I started. I see a star that means that's where I am. And guess what? I know where I'm going. I don't know about you. Now, my husband who's sitting out here, he'd say she doesn't ever know where she's going. She has to plug in GPS. That's correct. I'm married to a navigator. He knows north, he knows east, he knows what. I'm like, no, down there by that taco stand, you know, that has the red sombrero, you take a left. I don't know, I'm a landmark person, so I have to trust GPS. That's why I like this. This is our GPS. And these folks that do the work, they can see your GPS, and they know as well. Now, what if my GPS has gone a little bit awry? And what if I'm having this kind of thing, that kind of trend?
Reassess.
Say it again?
How to reassess and
We reassess. What kind of questions would you ask in that meeting?
Brainstorm, see what's happening.
Yeah, what's happening? Do I say, I don't like this, let me tell you what I think I would do? Is that a good question for the board meeting? Absolutely not. That's quite ineffective. So we're going to talk in just a moment about these stems, what are known as board question stems. And I told you, these are your cheat notes. These are your cheat notes. You can have them make a copy, have them laminated. You can have them right at your desk every single week on page 46. I love these because they tell us the who, the what, the how, but it's not me suddenly I'm bored and I want to be heard, me saying, well, I used to do curriculum instruction and I have a master's in curriculum instruction. All those are true. But if I'm a board member, I'm no longer the C&I person. I'm a board member. So I should not be saying, I want to see us doing X, Y, Z. That is her job. That is she who should be doing that. She operationalizes. We discuss it, and I ask the how question. How do we see this trend was going like this, and suddenly it's like this? What's happening? Oh, we introduced a new curriculum. Our staff has just been trained. Makes perfect sense. So I say that, but then what's my follow-up question?
How is it,
What or how
is it,
do we turn the tide? Exactly. That's the appropriate question. So let's look at monitoring reports on page 26 and 27 of our LSG integrity instrument, 26 and 27. Now notice the title at the very top of page 26. It's under the Texas Board Framework. What's the title say there, one of you board members, under Texas Framework, the very top?
progress and accountability.
progress and accountability?
We want to know who's making progress.
Us.
Students. And who's being accountable? You are, as are all your staff who's involved, and as are the students. So notice what it says under progress and accountability 1. Someone read that in the dark brown at the top.
The board invests at least half of its time to improving student outcomes.
Okay, so what we want to know here on page 26 is we've been talking about monitoring calendars, and now we want to talk about monitoring reports. You want to invest half of your time. We've already read preparing to focus under number 1 about your monitoring reports. But there are four things you need to remember on your monitoring reports, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. And then we also looked at number 4, approaches, number 12, meets focus, and then when you get to be a master board, that you're at 15. That tells you what you need to start looking for, Mr. Houston, Mr. Mata, when you're watching time. Where are we? Are we going to be like Ms. Mack said? Are we going to be less than 10%? And how long does it take us to get to 10%? I'm going to show you that. I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So looking at your board STEM questions on page 46 and then looking at page 27, let's look at that on 27. Maybe leave your questions kind of where you can see them. We're still under progress and accountability on page 27. Read, if you would, please, Mr. Bonilla, what it says also in dark brown. What is the progress and accountability to? What will the board be doing?
The board evaluates but does not interfere with progress toward improving student outcomes.
Important statement. The board evaluates but is not impeding or interfering with improving student outcomes, because that is an input and an output. That is Ms. Briones's. You are all about outcomes. She's putting in all the operations, the systems and processes. So notice what it says under in our columns about either a monitoring report or about accountability. See if there's anything there on that page that sort of stands out to you about accountability for you as a board.
Performing self-evaluations.
Have we been talking a little bit about that, Mr. Houston?
Yeah.
Yep. And you're going to perform it where?
Meetings.
In public, and you're going to do it how often?
Quarterly.
Excellent, 4 times a year, absolutely. Now, could you ever go into closed session and do that self-evaluation? You absolutely could on a month that you're not scheduled to do it in public. Let's just say that Linda's a board member and she has been really active on social media, and let's just say that Linda decided she was going to go over and talk to a campus principal because her child did not get a letter jacket. And so she goes over and she does all of that. You might take Linda into closed session and say, let's look at what this says on progress and accountability, that we don't interfere with day-to-day operations, and you could pull out the BOP. That would be appropriate, because Linda, and that actually really happened in my school district, in a district far, far away, with a board member no longer on the board. That actually happened. All right. So, any questions on progress and accountability? Okay, let's move to the next. This is so the public can see what I've been holding up that was an eye test for you guys. This is what a monitoring report can look like. It can be as simple as can be. This is explained on page 28, and also you'll see on page 38 the example that we've been talking about. This is page 38. The importance of this is it has all the right stuff. The movie The Right Stuff, this has the right stuff. It has your goal. How many goals do you have, board?
3.
Has your goal, so you'd have that for each of the 3. It's written up there. It has your progress, where you're starting, where you are currently, the star, and where I want to be. Now, the dates are wrong because it came out of an old manual, but yours would start at, where were yours mostly starting? 25, going to 2030. right? This is a cool part of this report. On campuses that are the same configuration, you can do a comparison. Whoops. Did I do that? Or did you do that? I got close. I was thinking about it. Campus 1, and notice it is my higher eco-dis campus. They're 38%. Notice where my babies started at this elementary. They started here, they moved to 62. Notice my other elementary, my eco-dis is larger. No, this is my smaller, isn't it? And this is my larger eco-dis pop. And notice that this one is at 60%, this one's at 62. What kind of question from page 46 might you ask me if I'm your superintendent and you're looking at this report? Someone go look at 46 and ask a question. I want to see, is that my statement or is that my question? What would be a good question on this report?
Why is it not working in this area?
On which one, Ms. Young?
I'm looking at why for the like
Campus 2 or Campus 1?
Campus 2.
Yes. What's going on Campus 2 that is not going on Campus 1 or the other way around? We want both groups. We want there not to be a difference in our kiddos based on socioeconomics. We want to close that gap. Guys, public education can do it, and we do it all the time, absolutely. We don't want a gap between our emergent bilinguals, our EBs, what used to be our ELLs. We don't want a gap. We want to close that gap and have everyone score well, so absolutely. Looking over here, student target groups. Now, you may not have all of those, but as you look at the target groups, what would you want to ask me if I'm your superintendent using a question on page 46? What would you want to know from me? What would you want to see from me if I'm your superintendent and you have questions about these 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 student groups?
You could ask, what's happening with the economic disadvantaged students to be staying behind.
What's happening with our eco-dis students? Because what color is that? It's red, it's pink, but it's red. What would that signal to me?
It's not doing good.
It's not doing well. That's my stoplight. Any other color up here that you might be concerned about that you might want to ask a question from page 46 about?
The yellow ones.
Special ed,
Which one?
special ed and control.
What are you seeing? I see a color here. Yep. Same thing. What's going on with our students with special needs? What's happening there? Absolutely. Any other group?
Control enrolled.
With our dyslexia group as well. Absolutely. And then you would use what question? Let's just say that the dyslexia group is really low too. What might be a question from page 46? Someone look and tell me a good question you could formulate.
Jazz, why was there no growth?
Why was there no growth in there, assuming that it was the same? Another thought. What's another possibility?
What are we doing?
What are we doing to support our dyslexia students? What kinds of things, what kinds of measures? That might even be a question I would ask down here. Which campus has after-school tutorial? Which campus is doing what for tier 3? Those terms, there are lots of questions that we could ask that I'm sure staff as well as Ms. Briones would want to be able to answer. What questions do you have about monitoring reports before we actually look at your monitoring reports? What questions?
Why do gaps exist?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Why do gaps exist?
Why do gaps exist exactly on the campus? Why are these, and quite frankly, guys, your staff will know. they will know, and they want to talk about that. We used to call that our bubble kids, or our kiddos that were almost there, and then we had the big gap of kiddos that are, man, oh man, we've got to really close the gap. But they talk in terms of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 now, do they not? You know those terms. You can certainly ask about that. What are we doing? So,
I think under special ed, I mean, one of
Yes, sir.
the questions would be, is the IEP that we have for those students, I mean, not working, will they need to be modified? Because, I mean, we have an IEP for all our special ed students, and if it's not working, then we have to have an art meeting to see, if we have to do some modification.
absolutely. What do we have to do? How do we adjust, Mr.
I
Houston?
want to say, I think there's two good questions. So how are we going to address this issue and how can the board help? Those-
How are we gonna address this issue? And Mrs. Briones would be able to answer, or I could answer. And then, what was the last one?
How can the board help?
How can the board help? What do the campuses need? What if they say it again?
Providing the resources.
What resources, and I might even ask, what about budgeting? What have we done to budget resources to this particular group? And I guarantee that's an important question, because if you're setting expectations here, but you're giving this kind of resource help, or if staffing is not where it needs to be, or if, let's just even say we have a long-term sub, because we've got a mama out who's just had a baby, those things affect what's going on. It's not the fault of the children, it's not even the fault of the teacher that had to be out. But how do we address that? Those are realities that you need to talk about. And that's the kind of discussion that you want to have. You know, how do we help? Great question. Any other questions on 46? I love those questions. I don't know who came up with them at the state level, but I think the questions are very appropriate and very good, and are good guiding questions. So here's a key to you to help you know what the monitoring report is. It's a report that's going to give you evidence. That way I'm not just saying, well, I think over at that campus, I think, that's just shooting bull, right? We want evidence, and we're going to be looking at what progress was made or lack of progress. And then that's given to the board about your student adopted outcome goals. This is what you said was important because you adopted them. You took them to the public. Also about the guardrails, the constraints. There are 4 things your monitoring report should have. Now you need to kind of know this in your head. So looking at your example there, I just lost my page. I'll get back. Our monitoring report is on page 38. Looking there, we need to know, first of all, does the report have the student outcome goal on it? I just looked at that, page 38. Does it? Where's the goal, Mr. Martinez?
At the top.
Right at the top, because that's what's important. Number 2, what is the current status of the goal, or the GPM, or if it's a constraint, or the CPM. CPM stands for Constraint Progress Measure. GPM stands for Goal Progress Measure. So those are written somewhere on there. Secondly, I already talked about this. Does your report show the current status of where your kids are? I see Mr. Martinez shaking his head. How do we know? How's it shown on the report?
Sorry.
Got that little star, thank you, absolutely. And does it show where we started before, previous? Absolutely, because the year's there. Does it show your annual with the star? Yes. Does it show your deadline, where you're gonna go?
Yes.
Yep. We've got increments by the year, we've got, and then finally, where on that report do you see number 3? Where is there an interpretation of what the superintendent's saying about the performance? Is it on there?
Down at the bottom,
Down at the bottom, what does it say at the bottom?
it says we are slightly off track because the plan, moving forward is to,
It's not very long, it doesn't have to be. Superintendent says, we're on track, we're not on track. That's pretty easy for a board to understand and for the public to understand. If I'm a parent at one of your elementaries and it says we're not on track, I want to know, how do I help my child at home? And the plan moving forward, why is that part so important?
It tells us what we're doing.
How we're gonna fix it. Most all of us have things that happen and they don't go the way we wanted. The refrigerator went out, the car won't work. Just tell me, mechanic, what's the plan moving forward and how much is it gonna cost?
Most important.
That's the most important, yeah. So that's what we want to know, and that's this number 4. What are the steps, ma'am? How are we gonna get there? How long is it gonna take us? Do we need to adjust our GPMs? Do we need to adjust our goals? You have to talk about those. Even the public is accepting of that. We're accepting of, we stubbed our toe. We've got to back up, but we're gonna fix it. Right? Okay, I'm gonna give you a restroom break because I need a restroom break. And it is 7:50, well, it's something by my watch. I have 7:14, and so are you okay with 5 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll be back at 7:19? All right,
7:20.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And the next slide, sir, thank you. I'm gonna ask them more questions when we come back to get ready for Ms. Briones. How are
But I didn't get to see all. Measuring look good. Measuring look good. It's really. Now, maybe I'll switch. Thanks, coach. Right.
What about the plans?
Oh, it's like-
So looked at the monitoring board, questions on the stems. And so do you have any questions before we look at the August monitoring report? Do any of you have questions on monitoring report, format of the report? You have examples, I believe, in the board book, right? And help us with that page number, Mr. Espinosa. What page is the monitoring report on?
38.
Or is it a handout that you guys have from, in your board book?
Oh, the,
Let me see.
And before we actually start.
We have it,
On the agenda, page 12.
page 12.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, on page 12, and you'll want to open your books to page 46, that's our cheat notes. If you want to see, okay, what kind of question might I craft that will help you? And I think it's important to have that kind of schematic in our mind. We all want to ask about student achievement, but if I don't know what kind of question to ask, that's my guidance there. And then after we finish this, I'm going to have you think not only what you're saying, but listen to the kinds of questions that other board members ask. We're not going to embarrass anybody, throw anybody under the bus, but I have an example of ineffective questions. And the only reason in sharing that is not to call anyone out, but we've all been ineffective at times in what we ask. Maybe you have a spouse or of a friend, and we're like, man, how did that go so south on me? It's maybe how I ask the question. So we will do that after we've gone over these August monitoring reports that Ms. Briones has ready. Are you about ready, ma'am?
I'm ready.
All right.
Alrighty, so our August monitoring report begins on, in your board book on page 12. I'm gonna jump into page 13, beginning with literacy, board goal number 1. The percent of third grade students who score at meets grade level or above as measured by star rating will increase from 44% in August 2024 to 70% by August of 2030. That is your board goal. Our current performance number right now is 43. I presented my format is a little bit different from what Ms. McAnally presented to you from the manual. So instead of a star, I highlighted that number in, or I bolded it in red. That is our current meets standard for the Accountability 2025 school year. We do have the 5-year spectrum. In 2026, our goal or our target is to hit 49% meets or above. 2027, our goal is to hit 54% or above meets grade level. 2028, our goal is to achieve 6% or greater at meets level or above. 2029, going into 2030, it's in 2030 our end goal or end target is going to be at 70%. So if you take, so that graphic that you see in the middle of the page is exactly what I just stated. So our goal for 2026 is 49, 54, 60, 65, and 70%. Right now, we are currently at 43%, well on track to make or to meet the 49% of meets or above grade level in reading in grade 3. In terms of the student group targets, we don't have representation of all the groups. What I did present to you is the current 2025 data that is already released publicly. We have right now, in terms of grade 3 reading, we have 0% of our African American population meeting. And again, this does not mean that they did not pass. They just did not achieve meets grade level or above. American Indian, we don't have enough of a group to generate data. Asians, the same situation. Our continuously enrolled students, we are currently at 43% of them meets grade level or above. Our economically disadvantaged group is at 38%, grade level or above. Our emergent learners or bilingual students are at 33%. Our Hispanic population is at 44% meeting standards or above. Our special ed cohort is at 25% at meets or above, and our white population is at 0%. Our target for the 2026 school year, we don't have demographics for the first three category of student, beginning with continuously enrolled. We are currently at 43% with this group of students. Our target is to be at 54% at meets grade level or above. Our economically disadvantaged cohort, we are at 38% right now. Our goal is to be at a 51% by 2026. Our emergent learners, again, this is that asterisk means that data is masked, because if we put information in there, we would know who the student is, and that is protected by FERPA. So we don't have a percentage for you there. Hispanic, we are currently at 44%. Our goal is to be at 54%, meets grade level or above. In special ed, we are at 25%. Our goal is to be at 40%, meets grade level or above. And our white category right now, we are at 0, and we don't expect to have generated data for 2026. Our evidence and future plans, DTR LDZ, based on the current data, which is at 43%, I can say that we are well on our way to meet the target for next year. And so moving on, then I presented goal progress measures also on page 14. For goal progress measure 1.1, this is how kinder, first, and second grade are going to be contributing to that third grade performance data at the end of every year for the next 5 years. Goal progress measure 1.1, the percentage of second grade students who perform at level 3 or above in text fluency as measured by ISIP will increase from 43% in May of 2024 to 100% in May 2030. With this goal progress measure, we are very skill specific. Our current data right now as of May of 2025 is at 54%. Our target for May 2026 is 54%. For May 2027, 65%. May 2028, 77%. May 2029, 88%, and then I extended it to 2030 at 100%. Things to know for this graphic is that our level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 replaced what we formerly would call tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So that's important to know. That 46% that you see is the percentage of students that did not meet level 3 or higher. So we do still have a significant number of grade 2 students that are moving into third grade that are not at 100% mastery in fluency. That does not mean they don't know how to read or they cannot read or comprehend. It just means their text fluency is not as accurate or as rapid as we would want them to be. So that's important for us. Evidence and future plans, we are ahead of schedule in terms of current, because as you see that, we are at 54% right now in May of 2025. That was the goal for 2026. We are already there. Meeting the demands of the progress measure, the plan moving forward is to continue reducing the number of students who are performing in level 1 in text fluency. Then we move on to first grade, which is goal progress measure 1.2. Our goal is to increase the number of students in first grade who are performing at level 3 or above in phonemic awareness, another set of reading skills, from 40% in May 2024 to 100% by May 2030. Our current data as of May 2025 has us at 66%. If you take a look at the 5-year plan, our goal for 2026 is to be at 52%. 2027 to be at 64%, 2028, 26%, 2029, 88%, and then of course by 2030 at 100%. We are currently ahead of schedule relative to how we ended the year with a cohort of kids that we assessed. We are 2 years in advance. So I know that as early as pre-K and moving into kinder, first and second, our early childhood elementary teachers and support staff and administrators are doing an exceptional job of targeting very specific reading skills and creating interventions and supports for these kids. Evidence of and future plans, the campus is ahead of schedule by close to 2 years. The plan moving forward is to continue increasing the number of students completing the end of second grade, having mastered phonemic awareness as a reading skill. Goal progress measure 1.3, this is for students in kindergarten. The goal is to increase the number of students in kinder who score at level 3 or above in phonemic awareness from 55% in May of 2024 to 100% by May 2030. Our current, as of May 2025, is 78%. Again, looking at our 5-year spectrum, we are 2 years in advance. 2026, our target is to be at 64%, which we have exceeded. In 2027, our goal is to be at 73%, which we have also exceeded with this cohort of students. Evidence and future plans, the campus is ahead of schedule by, again, another 2 years. The plan moving forward is to continue increasing the number of students completing the end of kinder, having mastered phonemic awareness as a reading skill. That is literacy. Then we move on page 16 to numeracy, which is your board goal number 2. The percent of third grade students who score at meets grade level or above, as measured by STAR Math, will increase from 45% in August 2024 to 70% by August 2030. Our current, as of May 2025, is at 45%. So we are very, very close to being there. Our goal for 2026 is to increase meets and or above by an additional 5%. The target score for 26 is 50%, 27, 55%, 28, 60%, 29, 65%, and then to an eventual 70% in 2030. You see our demographics. This is current data as of STAR 2025. For our continuously enrolled students, our current is 45% at meets or above. Our target for 26 is to be at 54%. Economically disadvantaged students, we are currently at 42%. Our target is to be at 54% by 2026. Emergent learners, we are at a 33%. And again, for 2026, that number will remain masked for purposes. Hispanic cohort, we are currently at 46%. The goal is to be at 55% by 2026. Special ed, our current is 45%. The target is to be at 76%. Whites, current is 0%. We don't have demographics for 2026, so that number will remain also masked. Evidence and future plans, we are on track to meet the target. The plan moving forward is to continue analyzing our data and identifying tweaks in need of improvement relative to the all students category, and very specifically to the emergent learner or the emergent bilingual, special ed cohort, and economically disadvantaged student groups, or what we consider to be our high focus group. Under goal progress measure, we have goal progress measure 2.1, the percentage of students in second grade who score at level 3 or above as measured by ISIP in computation and algebraic thinking will increase from 49% in May 2024 to 100% by May 2030. We were very specific in selecting computation and algebraic thinking because it is a STAR reporting category number 1. So, and it's a category that carries all the way through Algebra 1. So the designation or the emphasis on this very specific set of skills is going to be highlighted in all the grade levels. Our current for second grade at the end of May 2025 is 87%. Our target for 2026 is 59%, 2027, 69%, 28, 80%, 29, 90%, and 30, 100%. Based on the end of year data, we are 3 years ahead of schedule based on the goals that we set. Evidence and future plans, we are well ahead of schedule. The plan moving forward is to close gaps for this group since we're doing so well in the all category, in the all students category, the focus then moves into our high focus population, and making sure that we close the gaps between the all student category, the emergent bilingual, special ed, and economically disadvantaged groups. For goal progress measure 2.2, the percentage of first grade students who score at level 3 or above as measured by ISIP in computation and algebraic thinking will increase from 49% in May 2024 to 100% by May 2030. Our current, as of May 2025, is 83%. Again, you see the highlights 3 years across because we are 3 years ahead of the goals. 2026 target is 59%, 2027, 28 is 69%, 28 is 80%, 29 is 90%, and 2030 is 100%. So we are, for this cohort of students, we are also well ahead of schedule. The plan, very similar to second grade, is moving forward is to close the gap between the all student categories and then our high focus groups, which are the emergent bilinguals, our SPEDs, and our for goal progress measure 2.3, the percent of students in kindergarten who score at level 3 or above as measured by ISIP in computation and algebraic thinking will increase from 53% in May of 2024 to 100% by May 2030. Our current data as of May 2025 is at 79%. We are 2 years ahead of schedule. Our target for 26 is 62%. For 27 is 72%. For 28 is 81%. For 29, we're at 91%. And eventually heading to 2030, we are at 100%. Evidence and future plans, we are well ahead of schedule. The plan moving forward is also to close the gap between the all student categories and the emergent bilinguals, special ed, and economically disadvantaged student groups. For goal number 3, which is college, career, and military readiness, it's board goal 3. The percentage of graduates who meet CCMR criteria as measured by the A through F accountability system will increase from 62% in August of 2024 to 90% in August of 2030. Our current, as of May 2025, is at 76%. Our target for 2026 is at 68. For 27 is at 73. We are also 2 years ahead of schedule as per these goals. In 2028, the goal is to be at 78, 29 is at 84, and for 2030, our goal is to be at 90%. So for CCMR board goal number 3.1, we are also well ahead of schedule. I did not give you student group targets because this information is not released until the taper report is released, and that report is not released until late November, early December, to be presented to you no later than February. So once that data is out, then I can fill these tables. What I was able to produce for you in terms of evidence is part of what was at one point confidential data that was released to us in August. And so what you see here, and I'm at the bottom of the page, this is for 2024 annual graduates because CCMR is a lagging indicator. It's always for the previous year. We had a total of 121 students. Out of the 121 students, 92 of them generated credits for CCMR, giving us a component score of 76%. The goal for high school is to be at 88% or better, which is why we have that 90% as the eventual goal, because if we get to 88%, in CCMR, we will be an A-rated campus for CCMR as an indicator. Our evidence and future plans, we are well ahead of schedule. The plan moving forward is also to close the gaps between the all student categories in CCMR and EL, SPED, and economically disadvantaged groups. Goal progress measure 3.1, the percent of students who meet college-ready criteria in reading and math as measured by TSI will increase from 9.1% in May of 2024 to 30% by May of 2030. Currently, as of May 2025, we are at 7.4%. Our goal for 2026 is at 13%, 27, 17%, 28, 21%, 29, 26%, and 2030, 30%. What you see there as evidence is what the state has released in August of 2025 as part of our accountability rating. We had a total of 9 students that contributed to TSI criteria in both reading and math. And then the conversion of that in percentages is 7.4%, which is where that 7.4 comes from. Our evidence and future plans, we are behind schedule in this very specific indicator. The plan moving forward is to create a readiness course to assist students in their preparation for December testing. And I did visit with Mrs. Houston today, and we were hoping that we would build a TSI or prep course in the master schedule. But because she still has vacancies in the master schedule, we're not able to create the course for her right away, but we are offering tutorials through our supplemental instructional supports to get the kids ready for testing in December. For goal progress measure 3.2, the percent of students who earn an industry-based certificate and or complete a CTE program of study will increase from 0% in August 2024 to 10% in August 2030 as measured by CCMR tracker certification. Our current is at 1.7. Our target for 26 is 6%, 27, 8%, 28, 11%, 29, 13%, and 30, 15%. And here you also see the accountability report or the data that was released in August. We have 73 students that are contributing to either earning an IBC and receiving credit. They are producing for us 60% of our total CCMR accountability. We have under level 1 or level 2 certificate, we only have 2 students that are contributing. Again, this is a lagging indicator. It's not, we already know that this, for level 1 and level 2, we know that that number is going to be significantly impacted when accountability 26 is released, because high school has done an incredible job of increasing the number of IBC offerings and level 1 and level 2 attainability in terms of certificates. So again, this is a lagging indicator, but it is where we're at. Evidence and future plans, because this is a lagging report, the data does not clearly show the progress we have made towards increasing the number of students that graduate from the CCHS having earned a level 1 or level 2 certificate. The plan moving forward is to keep addressing the growing demands of the CTE program. Goal progress measure 3.3, increase the percent of graduates with a completed IEP and workforce readiness from 0% in May 2025 to 30% in May 2030 as measured by summary of performance IEP documentation. The current state is at 0%. The target for 2026 is 2%. For 27 is 4%. For 28 is 6%. 29 is 8%. And for 30, it's 10%. This is also part of our accountability information that was released. So for the 23-24 school year, we still have an indicator of 0 or 0% contributing to students who are able to graduate from CCHS having a completed IEP and being workforce ready. So it's not just about having a completed IEP, they also have to have workforce readiness. Evidence and future plans, this is also a lagging indicator. However, we are still at 0% moving forward. We will be working with the Texas Workforce Commission to ensure that our students have an opportunity to be workforce ready before their summary of performance art is concluded. And we have also created through board action the 2 innovative courses that will allow high school to code students receiving that curriculum and that instruction credit for having or for being considered workforce ready.
So looking at your 1.1 all the way to 3.3 and looking at the questions on page 46. What question might one of you or several of you ask? I know it's a lot of data, but what might you ask? What's a who? What's a how?
What's currently happening?
It's kind of hard because Because, based on the report, I mean, in some of the goals, I mean, it shows that we're already ahead here to, the goals.
What a wonderful problem to be having. That's a celebration, you know, I mean, actually, it's like a true celebration, to see how many areas were you ahead? I didn't have that, I didn't have a copy, so I was trying to write them down. If we looked at all 9, we were looking at 9 different indicators, so.
7.
So 7 of 9, that is a celebration, 7 of 9. And that is something that you should really be able to tell staff when you see them at the next whatever event, is compliment them. And the 2 areas that are not ahead, are they way behind? So that's also a celebration as well, right? So what's good about this data, this doesn't just happen in this room. Where else will this data conversation happen?
Public.
At the campus level, and it's gonna happen at the teacher level, at the grade level. So that's the other thing. You're part of the data. You can start to see this, but that's been going on in your district all along. But you have very focused data with these 3 goals and then the 3 GBMs. Anything else that sort of a pattern we see here? Because it's a lot, I know it is.
Yeah, I just want to give a comment on some of the information that was provided. The graphs themselves, they don't show like a straight growth. So they can kind of be, I don't know, it's not as clear as what's shown in here. The numbers do, as far as what's being said, but the graph itself, and that would help the public if they see it. It would just make it a little bit easier to do the numbers.
So something on the graph that can be adjusted, that's an adjustment really in PowerPoint actually. So that's a thought. What else? Anything else that you see? Did you have all the parts, all 4 parts that we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
You did, didn't you? The goal, the GPM, where you're starting, where you're going, where you currently are? Absolutely.
Maybe it's just a clarification question or comment. The graph that you presented, ma'am, with the levels, they were for what year?
For 25, for 24, 25. It's where we ended.
Maybe it should be, in future graphs, make sure it shows the year that thing is representing, because I was trying to figure out, was it for 24 or for 25?
So if you take a look at under, so
It's
like
there.
I'm looking at literacy, it says current and it has
Yeah, it
2025.
has them there.
I followed
On
the template.
Yeah,
I think it's just the same thing I was getting to the graphs where it's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So like for, I guess, progress measure 1.1, it says level 2 is at 46%. You know, and then level 1's at 46, level 2 at 13, level 3, 13, 18, and then 10 for level 4, and then 5. It doesn't clearly depict, you know, what growth we're making there or show the trend.
It shows that 54% of our students are already performing
Well, that,
at level in text fluency.
yeah, that's that's the wording that it says current 25, 54%. And we're in the words up top, but the graph itself, you know, I think what these growth or these graphs are, it's made to not have to read into the numbers or not have to read into the text and actually can be able to tell, you know, hey, in 2022, we're at 61%. In 2023, we're supposed to get here, but in 2024, we were at 60. I think that's the intent of what these graphs are supposed to do.
So is it that you have more information though on your graph? There's actually more on what was presented because it had 2 different levels. So
I don't think it's more information. I think it's accurate information.
Yeah.
Because when we measure, when we have conversations with principals and with teachers, we speak by level.
Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4.
Yes.
So it's actually more information that is on the sample on page 48 is what I'm trying to say.
But I understand the point that you're making.
Because all of those are tracked by ISD, right? So
Yes.
everything that's tracked by STAR is showing that positive,
Right.
the trajectory, right? But everything that's presented by ISD shows a graph that looks like this.
So I get what you're saying. I guess the recommendation is that if I'm still looking at 1.1, get the current, that one line, and graph that, is what you're suggesting.
Well, I guess it would be current 25, yes, and that,
So graph that one line. That's the one that,
and then for 26,
I get that.
I get the information you want to break out by level 1, level 2. It shows that those are the percentage of students that are level 5, percentage of students that are at level 18. Here it says percentage of students at level 1 would be 46, right?
That's where they're at,
That
yes.
graph says?
Yes. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do.
Mr. Houston, you have a question?
Stacy, I just have a question. For example, in 1.1, the plan moving forward is to continue reducing the number of students who are performing in level 1 text fluency.
Yes.
I would ask like, I guess steps, like how are we gonna approach that, I guess? That would be a question as far as, because the plan seems vague. I mean, there's other ones where they say like by TEKs and stuff, but
And since,
how are you gonna,
So strategically, how strategically?
yeah.
Yes.
And since it's supposed to be kind of a one-liner on that one,
Yeah.
that's why it has to be short. That's what she and I talked about. But your question would be appropriate in the meeting to say, okay, can you kind of flesh that out a little on what are we gonna do? That would be absolutely the kind of question you should ask. Yes, good question. What else?
I think also on the board goal 1, the first one, it's a drop 1%. Like, what do you feel led to that drop in 1%? And how is the district looking to move that up?
That's a good question as well. So, I'm gonna try and move us on in interest of time, if everybody's okay, but y'all had some great questions, and that would be exactly what would help frame. We talked about where to get your question stems. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, these are the monitoring questions that you're using. Let's go to the next slide. These are the ineffective types of questions. And so I'm not going to beat the dead horse to death, but I can certainly send it back. It's a question or statement that's really an opinion or giving a recommendation about what the superintendent should do. The idea of clarifying on the graph, that's different, but that makes sense. Or a statement that doesn't reference the data. All our questions should be steeped in the evidence, tied to data. That's so important. Any statement that's not actually a question, but is my opinion. And then finally, any statement or question about what's happening next that's not grounded in what has been the previous question or not tied to where they are now and how they got there. Those are the ineffective questions. And I don't mind to send those to you if you want a copy of those, but that kind of does help us. So next slide. This is on page 32 of your manual. Now this is Mr. Houston and Mr. Mata, but it's really for all of you as we look at time use tracker, because this is what they'll be doing, and it looks scary, and I know it looks scary, but what's nice about this is it's an Excel file, and what you do, you get with Miss Anna afterwards, or you compare together, and then you call Miss Anna. One of you can say, this month I'll take it, and the other one does it the next month, because if it's 2 meetings, you're doing 2 of them. If it's 3 meetings, you're doing 3 of them, and they have to be after you have approved your minutes. And so the cool thing, this is Excel, and we know in Excel, it totals itself. That's the good news. So you just plop in the time, and so it calculates it for you, and notice this says 7:16. This was a special called meeting that you had on 7/16. And notice under vision and goals, progress, accountability, these are your board framework that we're reading in the top of your manual, right? You had no minutes on vision and goals because it was a special call, and I think it was all about Mr. Tijerina from, I've forgotten, was my financial advisor. So of course you wouldn't be doing these. So there's going to be 0 minutes in there, obviously. And so that's what public would know when they saw this. Also, were there minutes on constraints? No. Were there minutes receiving, voting on constraints? No. Minutes doing a self-evaluation? No. So a 0. Over here are other types of minutes. You had 15 minutes discussing, debating, or voting on non-consent agenda items. 15 minutes is what I got when I did this. And so you have 15 minutes. So down here, how many student outcomes or adult minutes? 0. We have the 15 minutes. How many student outcome minutes total? 0. So we have the 15 minutes. So now, very quickly, you can see these are student outcomes and adult minutes. This was the percent on student outcomes, 0. That's okay. You can have that kind of meeting, but you want to eventually get to the point that you're having 10%, 25%, 50%. Notice, however, they also have to keep up with trustees' attendance. And the time I've been tracking you, I don't ever remember you being below 70%. That means 2 years absent. So that is also, so your attendance was 85% at this meeting. You had 4 agenda items, and that's what they like. 3 to 5, they say, is efficient. When we get more than that, too much to discuss. And then down here, how many consent agenda items? You had 0 because there was no consent agenda that night. You were taking action on your contract. And so that is the time tracker. That looks scary. Gentlemen, don't let it scare you. It totals itself. Let's go to 7/21. And I made a mistake here, but I left the mistake on purpose. This was a regular board meeting. And I wanted to show you that you did have a goal monitoring report there from Ms. Dina, and that was 11 minutes. So you got some points there, and you also talked a bit about a goal, I believe, on that agenda, and I gave you 6 minutes on that. Let me look at that, make sure I'm right on that. That's when you came back from closed session, you had discussion on, and I think I purposely made that mistake. Board policies, grants, appraiser, superintendent's constraints to approve them, and the constraint progress measures. That was at this meeting. So that's where you got your points. So look what happens when you have something that's LSG on your agenda, you get points in the gold column. Then over here, the other minutes, look at how many minutes were spent on talking, voting, discussing. I said earlier, discussing's good, but if we've gotten to the point that it's out of control, this is going to show you, yikes, maybe we can say less or ask different kinds of questions. And then time on something that didn't meet any of these conditions is a 5. That's under other. You'll see that on your agenda before. And so this lets you see, okay, here's our minutes, student outcome minutes. We get over here, look what happened in this meeting. All of a sudden, because of those things over there, you have 16% student outcome and adult minutes, 16% of your time. Now, I told you, yeah, I've not seen anybody be over, but you had 3 meetings in that month. So if you totaled all of it, your average would go below the 10. But I want you to be excited about looking. All you have to do is start to add some items to your agenda tied to Lone Star governance. Does that make sense? Okay, and then the next one is on the meeting with me on 7/28. And look where you ended up, 88% student outcome minutes, because we spent the whole time on LSG countable things, and your student minutes out of that were 29.1, because we have to talk a goal, a GPM, a constraint, or a CPM. So you ought to celebrate that, because that's two different meetings where you've had student outcome minutes. So I want to tell you, this is doable. You guys are on a great track. What questions do you have about time tracker there on page 32?
What are the adult behavior minutes?
Adult behavior is anything that you're talking about that matters, that is an adult outcome. Student outcomes are what students know and are able to do. And so that's where you get minutes. Everything else, contracts, voting on those, talking about that, lawnmowers, buses, even the financial, we don't get to count that. Do we need that to be able to have student outcomes? Sure, but those don't, quote, count towards student outcomes. So we're trying to show you this is how you're spending your time. Good question.
So it has to be done on every thing that we have, not only on regular days.
You do it any time you have a board meeting. The only time you wouldn't, sir, would be in an emergency call meeting. Yes, sir.
And we don't count the closed session minutes, correct?
Closed session is, yeah, you will put the time, but it's not, quote, counted. It's not tallied up here at all, right? And I can help you all the first time, but it's way easier than it looks. It looks way scary. Don't be scared, okay? Any other questions on time use tracker? It's important. Why?
Stay focused on what we're here for, the kids.
Helps you get on the work that you're really here for, the kids. Exactly. It's tedious when you start, but it will pay dividends for you. Okay, this is an easy way that I used to do it. I can certainly send this form. It's taking the agenda and I put the labels that are the labels that you're rating yourself on, goals, vision and goals, progress and accountability. And then I just write down on the agenda, when were they doing whatever, from this minute to that minute. And then over here, this is the total number of minutes. You know, they spent 25 minutes on other. They spent 9 minutes on progress and accountability. I put a 0 here because what were we doing? We had public comment, but there was none. And on closed session, I put the minutes, but it doesn't count in the total. Just to kind of show you. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Your BOP, you should have a copy. And guys, we can't spend a lot of time discussing. We're going to have looked through it, and corrections were made, and
We have very minor corrections.
yes, sir.
If I read through it, and there were only 3 or 4 of that.
So, you have, on page 30, it tells you on page 30 of your manual that if you want, on your score on page 30, it talks about that the BOP has been reviewed at least every 2 years. And so that's why it was important for us to do it. Typically, most boards review annually. And so I don't know what your typical procedure is, but if you continue with your LSG and your student focus, you need to continue to do that. We have to have a signature page signed tonight before you leave, and I even wrote down, should we do it right now, so everybody signs it, and we know it's done.
We have one here, but I don't,
Yes, sir?
but this one,
The one that's over the BOP,
well,
No, this is for this.
Sana has that one.
I didn't give it to them because they have to take action on.
Yes, they're gonna have to take action, and so, let's go to the next slide, and here is what the statement is that we put in there for you to sign and stick in with your board operating procedure, is that annually you're going to review your manual and that you've reviewed it now, and it's describing what you do, and that you adopt it on this 27th day of August, and that's what you'll be signing underneath. It's gonna have all your members' names on that sheet.
I know, last time we didn't approve it, with corrections.
No, you just reviewed it.
Yeah. So let's, and we're gonna talk quarterly tracker, and if you want to, I guess at any time, you could go ahead and take the motion if you wanted to do so now. Would y'all like to do that and go ahead and approve it before we move on, or what's your thought, Mr. Espinosa? You tell me, you wanna wait till the end on everything?
Well, are we gonna be approving everything that's an action item?
Yes, sir. So when we get,
Yeah.
well, wait till we get.
That way we'll,
Okay, so let's go to page 31, because this is gonna be quarterly tracker. Look at page 31, you'll recognize that, you'll remember that on July the 28th, we met.
Oh, yeah.
And we did this. And this was your score. This is what we said was your score, and it was a 43. I made a mistake that night, so I need to point out what the mistake is. So if you look at page 23, Vision and Goals 2, go to Vision and Goals 2 in your book, your integrity instrument, page 23, and I'll tell you the mistake I allowed to have happen. We went through the rubric and we rated you at a 12 on page 23. And 12 says that, if you look at 12, it says all board members and the superintendents agree with the GPMs. Page 23 meets focus on page 23. And so, what did I present to you tonight right at the beginning? Your GPMs. You remember that we had talked about them, we have not approved them. And we were going to approve them that night, but one was missing from the packet. I gave us credit for that, that's on me, I should have caught that, but it was later in the meeting when we approved it, and it just went right over my head. So we have to adjust this down to a 1. You actually are at a 1 because you do have student outcome goals. The superintendent has done the GPMs on page 23, and the GPMs can be updated, but we can't move over to 4 or to 12 because of that mistake. We did not adopt that night, we tabled it. But I left it so that I could tell you that we have to go back down. But it actually makes your score tonight way more impressive, right? So this will now be an 11, and I believe the total is 30, did I tell you 32?
32.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're gonna go to the real stuff. Let's go to tonight. And I left the date up there. When I turn it in, I won't have correction on it. I won't have that. But this is the new total for the 28th. But tonight, you're gonna do what's known as the current quarter. And so the only way to do it is leave your book open to 22. And I'm sorry that it's slow, but we have to go through. But we already know you're at a 12. So look on page 22, you are at a 12. Remember, it's cover all bingo. So let's see if you're at a 15 master's focus. Please read there, Mr. Martinez, on page 22, under 15 master's focus. The first thing it says for all board members.
All board members and the superintendent agree there is broad community ownership of the GPMs.
No, on page 22, sir.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
All board members and the superintendent have committed the vision, have committed the vision and student outcome goals to memory. Know the current
Okay, let's
status.
stop right there. Do all of you have your vision memorized? Probably have the vision, because it's unified for success. I even have it memorized. But do you have your student outcome goals committed to memory? Your literacy goal, your math goal or the CCMR.
Yeah.
This is hard, and most of you probably don't. So that means we stay at a 12 on vision and goals 1. We stay at 12, correct?
Only have 3, I mean,
Yep, you can do it. You can memorize them. Yep.
third grade reading, third grade math, and the CC.
But you have to
You need to know the whole
goal.
But we have to know we'll move from X to
You're gonna
Y
take
to
it
Z by 2030. That's the hard part. So it will take a little while, but you're still at 12. Vision and goal 2, we were at a 1, so let's look on page 23 now. And you are going to adopt 3 GPMs tonight in the session, because we've already talked about it. So tonight, we're going to do approaches focus, that you've got 3 GPMs, is that true? Yes. What about the second? GPMs are not a student output. They're not adult, they are student outputs, they're not adult inputs or outputs.
Yes.
And so, do they have population, who it's about?
Yes.
Do they have a 5-year deadline on what I showed you as we started? Do they have a baseline where you start with a month and year,
Yes.
an annual target, and groups of students? Yes. So you're a 4. Let's go to 12 and see if you're a 12. Board members, meets focus. Your GPMs will be challenging to your organization. Everybody's gonna have to work hard. Yes.
Yes.
Require adult behavior change.
Yes.
Yes. They can be influenced by your superintendent for people to do better. Answer is yes. And finally, they will help predict your student outcome goal. That's what that line's doing. It's predicting. So yes.
Yes.
Maybe you're a 15. Let's go to 15. Mr. Houston, read 15. Let's see if you're a master's focus.
Master's focus, all board members and the superintendent agree there's a broad community ownership of the GPMs through involvement and communication with students, staff, and community members.
Were they at our meeting in April? All those people? And the answer is yes. So you are at 15 on goal 2. You're at 15. So woohoo on that one. Now you're at 9 on goal 3, which is going to be page 24. Let's see if you get to move to 12. Oh, it's 10. I tricked myself. Page 24. You were already at 9. You've covered all bingo. Go to number 10. Read the first thing, Mr. Mata, on master's focus on page 24.
The board in collaboration with superintendent has adopted one or more theories of action to drive overall strategic direction.
Have you done theories of action with me? And the answer is no, we have not. There's like 6 theories of action. It's like, what do you believe about your campuses? And it's things like we are hands-off, we believe in autonomy, or we believe in what's known as managed oversight. There are 5 theories, they're sort of like constraints. We did not get there, we didn't have to be there yet. That's something that we'll move toward. So you are still at 9 on vision and goal 3. You're still at 9. So go to the next page, vision and goal 4, and you are at 5 on page 25. Can we go past that? What does it say? Master's focus. You're at the top on that, so you stay at a 5. That's as high as you can go. On progress and accountability 2, on page 26, 7. 26, we were at 1, which was all about monitoring calendar, outcome goals, student outcomes. And so notice what it says on page 26. First thing, superintendent owned the monitoring calendar, worked with you to talk about it tonight. Answer is yes. So you have a 1 in progress and accountability. And we are going to have to hold off on number 4 approaches because we have not tracked time enough. You have to track for a quarter. So we need to know over 3 months, are you at 10%? Guys, you might be. I don't know, 'cause I only tracked 1. So you are at 4 on progress and accountability 2, rather than at a 1. I'm sorry, you're at a 1. I'm looking the wrong one. Okay, go to progress and accountability 2. We were at a 1. So let's go to number 2 and see if we can say there that you qualified. Has to be all levels. Read there, Ms. Young, under approaches focus on 27.
Approaches and focus. The board performs self-evaluations using the LSG integrity instrument.
We're doing it right now.
Yes. Performed a self-evaluation no more than 45 days prior to the most recent superintendent's evaluation.
Y'all did that last year in November, so you can, I'll still let you count that. And then
Evaluates the superintendent in part on the results and progress toward the student outcome goals and constraints using information within monitoring reports according to the monitoring calendar.
have you done that? And the answer to that is no. You have not evaluated her on monitoring calendar, monitoring reports, or on the constraints, because we just got them last month and then tonight. So that does leave us at 1. But it lets you see what you need to do to move forward right there. And then that takes us to page 28, the systems and processes. You were at 0. I guarantee you get to move tonight. Go to preparing focus number 1. Mr. Espinosa, Gabriel, would you read?
The board receives and votes to accept monitoring reports that include student income, goal, and GPM, or constraint and CPM board being monitored.
Did we do that tonight? Yes. Yes, okay. The next one, please, sir, go ahead.
The current status of the student outcome, goal, and JPM, or constraint and CPM compared to previous annual and deadline targets.
Did we look at where you're starting, where you're going? Answer's yes. Number 3.
Superintendent interpretation of performance and supporting information that describes any needed next steps.
And that was on your report, so we can move to 4 then. Here, you do have a monitoring calendar after tonight. Where we can't go forward is on the first bullet there, because we have to have 3 time trackers, and we only have July, so we don't know if 75% of your agendas have been consent. I'll bet they are, but that gives us a 1 on systems and processes rather than a 0. Gives us a 1 on systems and processes. And then advocacy and engagement. Do you advocate for your board's vision? Do you talk about it? That has you at a 1. So let's go look at 3 on approaches focus on page 29. Mr. Bonilla, read under approaches focus on page 29. What is the board to do there?
The board has provided time during regular scheduled board authorized public meetings to recognize the accomplishments of its students and staff regarding progress on student outcome goals and.
Done that? Have you recognized people on student outcome goals, LSG, during a board meeting? And since I've been with you, the answer is no. And so if you look at the board agenda that we've been looking at tonight, there's a place to recognize students. And that might be a thing, well, it should be a thing that you add to your agenda, that you have recognition for students and staff who have done things in LSG. So that stops us because your community meeting under number 3, you have had a community meeting. And if it talked about low-performing campuses in that April meeting, then you would move to 3 already as soon as we get start to recognize.
So recognizing students will fall on the 50% of
Student outcome?
student outcome and all that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because
Yes,
I know.
The ones that have met your outcome goals, absolutely, or they've met a GPM, you can bring those kiddos in, absolutely, and do recognition.
It has to be concerning outcome goals.
Yes, it has to be a goal, a CPM, or our GPM, it can't be, and I did this, my kids that, in my AP classes that scored 3, 4s, and 5, we brought them in, but that wouldn't be a goal unless it was a GPM. And so if that's a GPM, then yes.
Counts for,
So yeah, there's some great recognition for academics that could happen, but that could happen before a board meeting or it could happen afterwards. So it doesn't add time as an other, so it's not counting against. So anything on advocacy and engagement, we stay where we are, but you can see all you have to do is add that to your meeting of recognizing kiddos. Page 30, whoo, finally there, guys. You had a 3, so let's look and see if you get to move to 9. And we probably are at 80% attendance, but notice what it says. Mr. Houston, read meets focus on under 9, the board what?
The board maintained an average attendance of 80% or higher throughout all regularly scheduled board meetings over the previous 3 months.
That's an unknown because we haven't been tracking time. That's the reason that these two gentlemen are so important in coordinating with Miss Anna so that we know that. So that could easily be checked in minutes, you know, and so that will start now. So we will stay right there. So what's our total? Someone do the new total. I did a total last night about midnight, so I hope I'm right. What, 40 what?
48?
48, see, I got 49, so I'll put 48. So 48 is our new total, our one quarter ago. Now we project, and I'm sorry you have to go through it again, and I'm going as fast as I can. Go back to your book, we want to project, go back to page 22, because we want to project where can you be next quarter. So where can we be? So you're currently at 12 on the first one, and we want to project where can we be next quarter? Can we make 15? Look at 15 and see, do you think you could commit the student outcome goals in the next 3 months? Could you commit those to memory?
I think so.
Try?
We'll try.
Memories like mine? I may have to have a tattoo on my wrist. So I'm gonna put a 15 if everybody agrees that we'll try and commit this to memory. Guys, you might not make it in 3 months, it might be 6, but it's a goal, it's a goal. Okay, go to the next page. You have a 1 on that. Where can you be? Can you be on page 23? Can we move to a 4 by next time? You have GPMs adopted.
Yeah.
That we were.
Yes,
I think you can move to 15.
number 1.
Oh, we're already.
Oh, we're already 15.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Yeah, you'll be at 15 because yeah.
we're maintaining.
So you're gonna maintain because there's no higher than you can go. I'm sorry, I didn't have the copy. Okay, on page 24, you are at a 9. Can you move to 10? Go look at that. What do you have to do? You're gonna have to work with someone to come up with a theory of action. And then you already have done number 2. You had community ownership through a community meeting of your constraints. So you just have one thing to do to reach the 10. Does everybody agree with that? Okay, 24. Okay. Then on number 4, page 25, you are currently at what number?
5.
A 5, and that's as high as you can go, so we can check that off. Go to page 26. You're currently at a 1. Can we get to the next time? It'll be 3 months before you can, because we've got to have our time trackers track and see if you're at 10%. You might even move to 25%. So is our goal to be at a 4? We want to start there?
At a 12.
All right, 12.
12, I think that,
Okay, we're gonna go to 12. Okay.
I think Samuel will do a good job.
Let's go to progress and accountability 2. You're currently a 2. Can we make it to a 4? Now, let me tell you about this.
We were a 1.
You have to go ahead, sir.
I think we're at a 1, man.
Yeah.
Yes,
I had 1 circle too.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's a 1.
We were missing to evaluate superintendent in part on the results and progress towards student outcome goals.
Okay, so, to get to a 2, we have to do what?
Anyway,
Evaluate superintendent in part on the results and progress toward student outcome goals and constraints using information within the monitoring reports.
So there, it could be an informal evaluation in the next 3 months where y'all go into a closed session and you talk with Ms. Briones about where do you think we are? It can be that, so that could happen. But the problem might be, it needs to be related to your self-evaluation, the second thing, what we're doing right now, and we know that's not till November. So I think you could easily be at the 2. I'm gonna say, don't try and be at the 4 because of staff use tracker. Let me explain that to you. Ms. Briones and I have talked about that. Staff use tracker means everybody in this room that's here because they're an employee, including your officer, any person that, including IT, anybody that brought food, anybody that cleans up, staff time is tracked for a board meeting with their hourly rate. And it's time consuming to do this, so you don't want to do it but about 1 time. But the reason you do that, you do it for a month so that you know some districts that we've done this before, guys, it cost them $90,000 in the course of a month because of all the people involved in getting ready for a board meeting. So let's just say, I'm gonna go low end, I'm just gonna make up a number. Let's say it costs $7 grand for Miss Dina to put the board book together. If we take all the time Miss Anna, all the time that Miss Briones spends, all the staff, if a principal spent time on a report, or if they came, or if they sat here, every staff member and their amount, their wages are figured in. So let's say it's $7,000 a meeting, and you had how many meetings this month? 4 times 7,000?
28.
28 grand. Over a quarter, if it's, let me make it 30,000 so it's easy. Over a quarter, 3 months, that's costing the district $90,000 to have meetings. So the question for you would be, could we have 2 a month? So that we're saving that at least 30,000 over 3 months because, or 10,000 over 3 months, because when you do that, that translates into money in our pocket where we can buy resources and we can pay staff. That's why staff tracker is important. You don't want to do it forever. You want to do it over a 3-month period or even a 1-month period. If it's a pretty good indicator, once she does that, and what I did when I did it, I sent out to each person, how many hours did you spend this month getting ready for board book? It was a shocker to everybody because you don't realize. Now, what happens while they're getting ready for a board meeting? What happens to their other work?
Piles up.
It piles up. So then they've got to go back, or if there's some fire that has to be put out that day, board has to wait, and then we have to rush until midnight or 1 o'clock. I got an email from her at 1 o'clock getting ready for a board meeting. She was sending me information. It came across my desk at 1 a.m. When I opened it the next morning, I was like, you should have been in bed like I was. But I know her job, and I've been there till 2 and 3 in the morning. I know. But this is an important thing to do, but I would not suggest that you do it in the next 5 to 6 months. I would say give yourself some time into 2026, even if it's next November. But start to plan, how can we try and go to 2 meetings a month? And what will that kind of efficiency do for you and your life? Because you have a life and families too. And what will that do in their lives? And what will that do in Miss Dina's life and the staff's life? That's why this is important. Make sense? So that's a goal on out. So we're definitely not in column 4. We're definitely at column 1 still, right? On page 27, so that is a 1. Okay.
But our goal is to be at a 2.
Say it again, ma'am?
But the goal is to be at a 2.
Absolutely, the goal is to be at a 2 for next quarter. Okay, let's look at systems and processes, and I'm sorry I took so long on that, that was a long explanation. On systems and processes, where are we, at a 1? Can you be at a 4 by the next quarter? That's 3 months out. By then, Mr. Houston, Mr. Mata will have time tracked you, and you're gonna know what we're spending the time. So I would say you definitely should be able to be at a 4. Could you get to a 12? Look at the key factor I'll point out to you real fast. Not having more than 4 meetings average over the 3 months.
3 hours.
Not having any meeting that runs more than 3 hours over the 3 months.
Not having more than.
And here's the key, number 3, no more than 5 other topics at the meeting. You have to really get your agenda whittled down. And then you have to have reviewed all your local policies. This is a hard one. All your local policies that pertain to board work. And let me tell you the area that you really have to, we call this the policy diet. X policies. Anything that's an X that has been put in place related to board work. We ask you to rethink that because that means it's an exception. And oftentimes those exceptions have come because 2 people on that board wanted to see this happen. It's just a special thing that really doesn't need to stay in there. It's more important that you have the legal, and that takes a long time. With you not having an assistant superintendent to help you on policy, that's a kind of a waiting on thing unless you think you can get that done. So that has you at, on 28, that has us at a 1, but are we gonna shoot for a 4 right now? Everybody agree with that? And then advocacy and engagement, page 29, you're at a current 1. Can we get to a 3 where you recognize staff and students in a board meeting in the next 3 months?
Yes, we have it planned for September.
Excellent, so we're gonna go with the 3. The hard thing on 9 and 10 is, look what happens on 9, bottom of the column. The board has led or co-led an LSG training in the community that y'all help. Now, you did talk at the round table, but this actually means that you might stand up and work with Ms. Briones, and she has helped with the script, or I can help with the script, and you help present, and it's practiced. I know that that's not everybody's forte, but there's somebody here, or 2 or 3 somebodies that feel comfortable speaking in public, that you could do that. And it's just to help the public know about LSG. Could happen in a board meeting, could happen in a PLC. It's doable in the next, I would say, that's doable.
In November.
You think by November we could do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll set that as a goal. Now, somebody total that. I have, let's make sure we all agree. I have 15, 10, and 5. Did anybody else write down totals? I have 12 on accountability 1. I have 2 on accountability 2. Systems and processes a 4. Advocacy a 3. And synergy a 9. Is that what everybody agrees with? Some mathematician, total it up for us.
30.
30. Who did that? Stinker, of course he did. So it should be more than 30 because we're at 48 the week before, the month before. 15 and 15 is 30 and 10 is 45. 45.
It's 76.
Yes, 76.
76?
Yes.
Woo-hoo! 76, guys. So this is what has to be added up and signed and filled in tonight for me to send in before Sunday, or you don't get your refund. Questions on this? Do a seventh inning stretch. We're almost finished. Thank y'all. That has us actually right. Now, looking at your form, notice it says the board is gonna sign this, and our number of student minutes so far have been, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, and we're gonna vote for accepting this and sending it to the agency tonight. For and against, and I'm gonna leave a copy with Miss Anna. I'm thinking she's doing it over here for me. And it'll be a signed copy that we can send in. Questions? You ought to be way proud of yourself. I don't know if you're I hope you're as proud of yourself as I'm proud of you and proud of the work that you've done, because this is not a small task. Now, this shows you we're doing the August report. I mentioned it's for May, June, and July. Your next is November, and that will be for August, September, October. You'll do this again in February. We'll go back to November, December, January, do an evaluation, and then in May, February, March, and April. That's your quarters. Make sense? Next one. Here's how the commitment starts. Here's what I'm asking of you. We've already mentioned this, that you're going to evaluate yourself 4 times a year. Please stand if you need to, absolutely. That your tracker is about measuring your growth, your adult behavior, and that evaluation shows where your focus is. Ms. Young said earlier, we're going to focus on, and that's it, improving student outcomes. This evaluation is to be in an open meeting, and then I already mentioned this. You can do it in a closed meeting if you need to remind someone, look, you're asking the managerial questions. You're not asking the effective questions that help us grow. Then you could do that. Next slide, please. What's next for you then? That our 2 wonderful VP and secretaries start to fill out monthly a time tracker with Ms. Anna's help or my help or whatever. That's who's we're putting on that. Now, at the end of the month, if they go back and track for August, they can report that under LSG in September and talk about, look where we are. One of them can report it, or the 2 of them report together, and that starts to help you guys get focused. It'll be submitted at the LSG website that I'll send to Ms. Anna. You commit to doing your quarterly tracker. We've already put that in there twice, sorry. The LSD orientation that we scheduled back in March or April, we did never get done. That's on page 29. That should have happened before the board election. It didn't. That could be made up. But all of you, if anyone else has not attended the 2-day LSD training, guys, we've got to get that on the schedule so that all of the 8 of you have had that. And then you remember you're committing to do that every 2 years. That's another commitment. I already mentioned staff time tracker on what does it cost to have a meeting? What does it cost everyone to have a meeting? And could that money be better spent on salaries, resources, etc.? In mid-26, have another PLC or a town hall where the community and students, it's described on page 29. Under both meets, focus, and masters. And then, I've already mentioned it, I see some of you in here that I know could do it, to co-lead in a community training. So there's 2 things that you can think about. Next step on LSG. Next slide. Okay, I think we're gonna zip through some of this.
On that one, you're gonna leave
The one before?
No, you're gonna leave a copy
The
so that we
presentation.
can get, a copy also.
I'll send my PowerPoint to Ms.
Well,
Donna.
just
Or just these things?
this one that Well,
Oh, on what's next steps?
yeah.
Yes, sir, yeah. Why are we doing all these reports? All the way back to what we've said over and over and over, so that we're focused on student outcomes. I'm not gonna go through that. I know you're tired, I'm tired, and so, but that's the why. And the question becomes, well, a lot of boards aren't doing this. Why should we keep doing this? This is hard. Why should we do it? What's the question we should ask?
Because it's good for
Here.
kids.
Because what?
It's good for kids.
Okay, it's significant, it matters, yeah, and you said you would, but why else? Why do
We have to make sure it focuses on our job, which is student outcomes.
Are we doing our job? We know she's doing her job because she's here. We know she's doing that. We know they're doing their job each day, or the district wouldn't be running. You wouldn't have kids in classes. But are you guys as overseers, are you able to say, we're doing our job? That's the thing. Other thoughts or questions before we go to the action items? I thank you. I thank you for the 6 months that I've gotten to work with you. Feel like I need to give you all a group hug because I just really appreciate, I really do. I appreciate you. I appreciate your dedication. And it's just quite important to me to say that. Next slide is where we get to final thoughts. Do not leave here tonight. Do not leave until you've signed 2 documents.
We'll
And-
take,
Another break.
after we.
Yes, sir.
On the action item.
Yes, sir,
and-
because it's tied to you getting repaid. I put Friday the 29th is when your business office has to have everything in, my invoice and the signed sheets. So we are ready to take action. I'm ready to be quiet and sit down and answer questions later if you have them.
Okay, we're gonna go now, actions. On approving the, on number 5, right?
Or number 6.
Okay, on number 6, action items, A, discussion action to approve a resolution to adopt 2025 tax rate. Lunes.
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution, a resolution to adopt the 2025 tax rate as presented by Mr. Velazquez.
May I ask a question, President? I'm sorry, ma'am. It was my understanding that we need to adopt the budget first, and then once we have the figures for our budget, then we adopt a tax rate to use how much taxes we're gonna ask from our community.
Legally, you have to.
The tax rates are, like I mentioned earlier, are set
Is there any way we can go over here? A
We
little
can't
go.
go, we can drop, but we can't go any higher than the maximum
After,
that we've had.
after this.
The tax rates for the interest and sixty, and even this year, the legislature met says we definitely cannot charge anything beyond.
That's understood, sir.
So it's all pretty much set.
Well, let me say why I bring this coming up. We had this issue sometime back here in the board, and I believe we had advice from our council, and they said the procedure is that,
To adopt the budget first.
adopt the budget first.
I mean, we can.
I mean, that's what I understood.
I have one more, I don't know, Ms. McInerney's gonna stay the entire meeting?
Well, no,
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
that's what he
I'm gonna move over here, just make sure that, no, I have already told everyone is that we're gonna let you go. Make sure you get the signatures, that you need,
Okay.
but we're gonna, yeah. Once we approve this, then we'll take a break, get the signatures, that way you can get on the road and, so we're going, now to,
F.
item, J,
F.
F.
Okay, I guess we're talking.
Okay. Your recommendation, to approve the, board's goals, progress monitor.
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the Board Goal Progress Measures, or GPMs, as presented in board training.
Motion by Mr. Cruz. Second,
Second.
Second, Mr. Bonilla. Questions, concerns? Not all in favor? Okay, now we're going to G, discussion action to approve the monitoring calendar. Ms. Veronis?
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the monitoring calendar as presented in board training.
A motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mata, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bonilla. Questions, concerns? If not, all in favor? H, discussion action to approve the board time use tracker. Ms. Veronis?
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the board time use tracker as presented in board training.
Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mata, second.
Second.
By Mr. Martinez, second. Questions, concerns? If not, all in favor? Okay, discussion, action item to approve update, operation policies,
The recommendation,
the revised, okay, your recommendation, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Mr. Espino. So the recommendation is to approve the updated board operating procedures as reviewed and revised on July 28th, 2025.
Motion,
Motion.
motion by Mr. Mata, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bonilla. All in favor? Okay, J, discussion action to approve the board quarterly self-evaluation. Ms.
The
Veronis?
recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the board quarterly self-evaluation that was completed today.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mata. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bonilla. All in favor? Motion carries. Done. We're gonna take a 5-minute break to get your signatures and,
Okay, oh, that'd be great, yeah, get some signatures.
and we're gonna go with, action item 6D, discussion to approve the, final budget amendment for 24-25 school year, Ms. Leonis.
Propose an alternate motion for the,
We don't have a motion right now, or we don't have a motion.
Second, and then,
Yeah.
Make the motion first.
Ms. Leonis, your recommendation?
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the final budget amendment for the 24-25 fiscal year. And
Okay,
this is as presented by Mr. Velasquez during Monday's board meeting.
so we're doing the D.
Yes.
we're doing 6D.
Recommend this one on Monday.
Oh, no, oh, I'm sorry, then I thought you had Robert. So Robert is going to present, and then you all can make your motions.
I have it on your desk for the copies.
yeah,
That's on the back.
Yeah, that's-
So we're moving
This
the,
amendment is simply, it's the current year budget. When it's done, for amendment number 4, you'll see those columns as approved budget 24-25. The revenues were at 18,962,805.
oh, yeah.
And the expenses were at 20 million. It had already been adjusted before, you all remember that? This amendment, the one in the middle is a plus or minus, we're adjusting revenues, the local revenues of an increase, we've been receiving more money than we project, slightly more, by 441,000. The proposed amendment to local and intermediate sources of 12 million. The state funds, they've dropped some of our different numbers that generating lower revenue from the state, so we're anticipating that. So we dropped it by 595,000. The 1779, which is other sources, we got the loan, and we had not booked the 1.2 million that we've talked about before. So that's the dollar number, and that brings us to 2,612,000 combined in the road category.
On the 5800, the state program, the negative 595, that includes ASF funds and foundation funds, right?
Yes.
On the ASF funds, I saw today that, I guess today there was a transfer from 23-24. That was a negative 353,000. Is that included in here?
No, sir. Those will be adjustments that CA keeps bringing us, communicating information to us. Our auditor will also take those into play.
So that will need to be transferred into our 25-26, or,
If it transfers in, they'll do it as a settle up for us, and we can recognize it as due from prior year. And if it's not, it'll have to be an adjustment backward. Yeah. We will have to recognize it.
that's gonna be a negative on either one of our budgets by 353.
Yes, it'll be an adjustment, you're correct. So the total proposed revenue is for $21,419,560.66. Below that are the by function expenditures. And we made some adjustments there because the line items have exceeded, or we anticipate having to reduce them because the funds didn't get utilized. Now, as I mentioned before, we got some bills that are not coming in just yet. As Ms. McAnally mentioned earlier, she's gonna bill the 29th, or before the 29th, but we have to take care of this business, okay? So we're making some projections, and we'll also have to accommodate those bills that are coming in, such as the one she's gonna submit.
Robert,
That also brings in, yes, sir.
she also mentioned that when she submits that, we're gonna get money.
Right, and it'll show up next year in September.
Oh, but it's money that's coming in.
Yes.
If it's booked or documented correctly from the agency that submits it, it'll be deposits in transit for this year.
About how much money?
I don't know, so I don't know that number off.
How much on this? How much?
The reimbursable is up to 10,000 for this school year. But Anna has to submit all the documentation like
but-
she was saying. For the LSU, yes.
Yeah, but we're getting something too.
Yes.
Now, if you notice at the bottom, the total adjustment on revenue and expenditures is only 900, it's an addition of 949,925. But the total amount there is now $21,419,560.66. It's the same in balances.
21 million, correct?
I'm sorry, 21, thank you. 21 million. So it balances, and that's what we're bringing to the board. We want to finish with a balanced budget. We didn't have that before. And again, it'll adjust somewhat as these items come in.
Now, the 7,900, the other resources, that 1.247, that is the settlement money that we received?
It's actually 1,247, the first one?
Yeah, that's $1,247?
That's exactly right. That's a transfer that was made at the beginning and not booked. It's only money that was left in another fund and was brought in, but it was not recognized in the reports.
Now, I know in some of the reports that you had showed us, you, previously, you had an expense number for the settlement funds that we received.
And that was about 1.2 million something, and that's the combination. We booked it in here, we added it. We've got to account the dollar number, and we added the 1.4 million that we got loaned for.
So is that money expensed throughout this?
It's booked in here in revenue, and some of it may have been expenses. You all had a brief discussion. And I don't know the exact number for that expense.
So there was money used from the 1.2 million settlement in this
They
budget?
have been reimbursed.
Can you address that question to Madrones, Robert?
Well, I mean, that money we received from the settlement.
Correct.
If, you know, we haven't delegated where that money is going to. And back in June 10th, I sent you an email with the memo and everything to add that item onto the agenda to properly disperse where that money's gonna go. You know, that money was received in a settlement for a 2015 bond payment or bond that was issued to build the schools, which at the time was voted on by the community to provide new schools, upgrades to our facilities, right? And currently, we cannot use the auditorium, you know, so that money should have been used or can be used to either reimburse ourselves like it was asked, like it was told to us, and make the proper upgrades to use the facility, right? So that money was never voted on by the board to delegate anywhere. I mean, we were never told we're gonna use X amount of dollars out of the 1.2 million.
So we don't have to answer your question because, I mean, you talked to Juan Cruz about it.
Yes.
I talked to Juan Cruz about it. And go ahead and.
So in the discussions, and a lot of the discussions happened in closed session. So the discussion in closed session was that we could reimburse ourselves because it's our money. It's money that the district had already put into the rehabilitation of Crystal City High School, right? So up until we could substantiate expenditures, we could reimburse, the district could reimburse itself, which the district has. The district has used that reimbursable money in terms of payroll. The district has one last project that we have to fulfill. It's the pipe drainage that we have discussed in open session. We have one last project that we have to go, and we have already provided a figure, a dollar amount figure to you through legal. That project, it's our last project in terms of litigation, is going to run the district about $380,000, $360, $380, depending on the vendor and depending on the extensiveness of the project. So that's the only project that we have that is pending. There is no need for the board to obligate the money because we are through the settlement process, because we are still in litigation with the construction vendors of the time. We don't have an option of not to rehabilitate or not to complete the last project. The issue with this year is because of the financial constraints that the district was up against, we have had to continue using money. All of that money goes into our general fund. General fund money can be used for payroll. This is a conversation that we have to make sure that we meet the obligations of payroll and that we are ready for this next project should the project be scheduled for the fall, which is what we are supposed to do. So in the new budget, we've already obligated that work under, and Robert will get into it when he presents the budget proposal. It's already obligated in function 51.
Well, I mean, my understanding.
In terms of can the district reimburse itself? Yes, it can, as long as we can provide written documentation to the attorneys that we have already expended monies out of the local budget,
And
do so.
I understand,
Are you finished?
Yes.
I understand that we can reimburse ourselves, but anytime money's moved within function, there has to be an amendment to the budget
Yes.
and voted on by the board.
Well, I
The
checked
board
with,
has never been told, we're using this money out of the $1.2 million from the
Of
settlement.
it.
I've always been told that that money is sitting in its own fund up here in revenues.
The
And not-
money is sitting in general, in revenues, in the revenue account.
We've never been told X amount of dollars from that money is being used to, and we never took action to reimburse ourselves.
I talked to Juan Cruz yesterday, and he told
we don't
me
have to.
that, we didn't have to have a meeting. When we had the meetings with the attorneys, they told us exactly how we could use the money. And you don't have to use it for anything at high school, but we strongly recommend that you do something, because we have another lawsuit against the architects, and it's gonna look bad if you put it all and use it for something else. And so, as far as not having a meetings or whatever,
There is no restriction on the settlement money. It's money that belongs to the district. The district can utilize it as the district needs it. However, we do have a responsibility because we do still have litigation pending, and we are going into litigation as early as April of 2026. We have a duty to fulfill the last project.
Does the board have a duty to provide financial oversight as well? So knowing where that money's going is our duty. So I don't know what the discussion had with Mr. Cruz. I want a clarification with Mr. Cruz before we take action on this, to see what the actual discussion is, because that money, I mean, my understanding with all the trainings that I've gone to, every single time this budget is gonna be amended, it has to be voted on by the board.
Yes,
That's the
amendment, yes, has to
That
be
is-
adopted by the board, yes.
So moving money from item 79 to 2035 is a budget amendment. Moving,
This is the budget amendment.
well, we're not being told that, I mean, this is the first time that we're being told, and we're expected to approve this budget.
At the end of every fiscal year, we bring before the board our final amendment. This is where the district it goes through all its finances and it makes the adjustments that it needs to.
And so all that money is already spent. It's already used.
Not necessarily.
How much is spent?
Specifically of the 1.2, I would not. I would have to ask Robert to go into the details of it. But has the district reimbursed itself? Yes, it has.
And who makes that decision? I mean, how can one person or two people make that decision?
no, I'm not making a
He's not
decision.
making a
I'm going by what
How can,
attorney recommended. We're gonna be here all night.
I want to, point of order, sir, I want a clarification before we take a vote from the,
Well, you don't have to vote, there's a motion or whatever.
the point of order, sir, I want to seek clarification by the lawyer tonight.
I kind of agree along the lines with Mr. Martinez, because I remember having a conversation with TEA when all this started. And I remember when we had that meeting with TEA got after us, you know, because we weren't being fiscally responsibility. I remember that they asked us the question, okay, why didn't you guys were paying attention to the budget? I mean, I felt like, you know, I was being attacked by TEA, so I mean, there's logic behind this.
Separate, yes, you're correct. There has to be accountability for us all, but your question is separate. It's up to you if you want to go back into closed session, and legal is only in closed session.
Okay, yeah. Let's go into closed session.
But we have to close out the year. We have to close out the
No, you'll
fiscal
say
year.
it. Let's go,
Well, let me see if he can,
can-
if he can see us. But you can listen to closed session already.
okay, we're gonna go back into closed session,
You just do that.
You have to vote to go into closed session or?
Yes.
Yes.
I motion that the board of trustees,
wait.
Let me get
the
home.
wording here.
I can.
let me just get the thing to read. Where?
That first section. Oh. I know, but he has to read it into the record. No, it's, yeah.
It's on the other,
It's that first. Up in 551.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and as we go into a closed session, the board will conduct closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D and E, Texas Government Code 418183.
Consulting with our attorney.
Yes,
I think we need to put into,
Consult with the attorney.
and so make, the recommendation is that, so you need to go.
Do we have do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, everybody in favor? Okay.
9/11.
9/11.